Chapter 2346. Leaving with the Saint Luck, Lin Feng was standing there, holding his great demon halberd of desolation. Even though his enemies were cautious, they didn't give up. Some of them charged him. Lin Feng was angry. These people were dangerous. If they had a single opportunity, they'd kill him. At that moment, Lin Feng sensed danger and shot up in the air. But sharp blades still crashed onto his body, and blood gushed out extremely painfully. Empty space saint's weapon. Lin Feng grimaced. He had been attacked by a saint's weapon which contained empty space strength, but was invisible and intangible. He raised his head, and saw a strong cultivator, who was holding an extremely sharp crankset, spinning it at high speed. The crankset disappeared. Lin Feng sensed a sharp energy surround him again. His great demon halberd of desolation turned into a gigantic demon dragon, and lunged towards the man. He retreated quickly. There was an explosion. Lin Feng groaned with pain, his muscles twitching. He had the impression his brain was going to explode. A Peerless and sharp chi shot towards Lin Feng. One person had attacked, so the others chipped in as well. "Piss off!" shouted Lin Feng. He didn't turn around to look at the man behind him, but knew his chi was terrifying. His dripping great demon halberd of desolation came back. There was a rumble behind him, and Lin Feng's mind trembled, his iron will keeping him conscious. Die! The attacks blotted out the sky and covered the earth. They really wanted to kill him. Deadly empty space strength surrounded him. He was surrounded by millions of threads of empty space cosmic energies. Lin Feng suddenly disappeared and reappeared in the crowd, instantly removing someone's head. "Daimon!" shouted someone. The fat guy appeared behind the crowd. He helped him and bombarded some people in the crowd. They hadn't expected that someone would help Lin Feng here. Lin Feng's great demon halberd of desolation swept away cultivators all around him. Heads exploded one after another. The great demon halberd of desolation was a devastating weapon. They couldn't withstand a single attack. Go! Qi Lianshan also arrived and descended from the sky. They continued destroying people and fighting their way forwards. Thunder rocked and boomed, shaking the earth and sky. When their enemies recovered enough to look at Lin Feng and the others, they were already far away. Lin Feng and the others went to a place with fewer people. If the fat guy and Qi Lianshan hadn't helped Lin Feng, it would have been dangerous for him. Even with the great demon halberd of desolation, he wouldn't have been able to deal with so many people who had saints' weapons as well. "Thank you." Lin Feng smiled. "Why would you thank us? You saved us last time," replied Qi Lianshan happily. "You're really brave. 3 birds and you gave them all to the dragon. His cultivation level is not high enough. Even with the 3 birds, he won't become a saint, unfortunately. As long as he understands them, then when the right time comes, he'll become a saint. When conditions are ripe, success is naturally achieved." "There's nothing unfortunate," said Lin Feng indifferently. The 2 others just nodded. He should assimilate the Saint Luck quickly, otherwise people are going to chase us unceasingly. I'll take him to the exit. When he leaves, nobody will be able to steal his Saint Luck anymore, said Lin Feng. Qi Lianshan and the fat guy followed Lin Feng to an exit. That was a good solution. After a short time, Lin Feng and the others arrived at the exit. There were no strong cultivators guarding it. When the other people saw that Lin Feng and those 2 had joined hands, they didn't dare attack them anymore. "Little boy, you leave first. I'll get to you when I leave." "Father, be careful," said Alma, roaring as he became gigantic again and left. Lin Feng didn't leave. He stayed at the gate waiting for Alma to get far enough away. Finally, things calmed down again. "I wonder when Saint Luck is going to appear again," whispered the fat guy, frowning. Lin Feng looked at the sky and said, "I wonder what this place is. How come Saint Luck appears here every 1,000 years? Who knows? Maybe a terrifying cultivator created this place, but we can't see those people," Qi Lianshan mused. At that moment, dazzling lights appeared on the map in the sky. The 3 friends were astonished. "What an incredible chi, let's go. There could be Saint Luck." Indeed, the 3 friends' figures flickered. After a short time, they arrived, along with ever more strong cultivators. A momentous chi was rising there. Is it the way Saint Luck is formed? What exactly is Saint Luck? Wondered Lin Feng. From what Alma had told him, Saint Luck allowed him to understand things. It was a kind of celestial Tao. Lin Feng understood that such understanding was related to the process people went through to become saints. After understanding one's own Tao perfectly, a cultivator could fuse it together with the celestial Tao, the Tao of the earth and sky. The cultivator's body became a part of the land. It became sacred. Everything seemed to be about fusing together with the earth and sky. Lin Feng was on a strange path. The earth and sky had abandoned him. He hadn't been able to break through to the Huangqi layer. Then becoming a great emperor had been completely impossible. He had his own cultivation. For people to become saints, they had to understand celestial Tao, the earth and sky, the world. Therefore, to saints, people who hadn't reached that cultivation level were like tiny little insects. Even saint emperors at the very top of the Shengdi layer couldn't compete with saints. Saints had transcended worldliness and attained holiness. A dazzling fire unicorn appeared. Fire-type Saint Luck. Many people charged ahead, but many other people were waiting. The crowd saw a terrifying chi surging out. Many different figures which contained Saint Luck appeared, and they were all different, unlike a moment before. 7 Saint Luck entities. The crowd was dumbstruck. And that gigantic ancient imprint must be an Earth-type Saint Luck, said Qilian Shan, staring at an ancient imprint flying in the sky. He flashed towards it. Lin Feng followed. He had promised he'd help them. Everybody stop, said someone coldly at that moment. The crowd was startled and saw a group of people. Lin Feng and the others stopped and looked at them. They're all shrine members. They all joined hands. Many people were astonished. Qilian Shan called out a strong cultivator of the earth shrine. Qilian Shan was shocked. He said to Lin Feng, "The shrines are joining hands. Don't get involved this time. I'm off." Qilian Shan followed after the members of the earth shrine. The fat guy nodded at Lin Feng and headed over to the group of cultivators from the Soul Shrine. The shrine stopped everyone, including the birds, after the 7 creatures appeared distinctly and clearly. At that moment a few other strong cultivators gathered. Saint Emperor Freeze, Saint Emperor Xiefeng, they're together. Do they want to stop the shrines? Thought the other cultivators. The shrines joined hands and wanted to share the Saint Luck between them. The strong beasts of the supreme animal world are with them. When the crowd saw a unicorn, a white lion, and other terrifying beasts together, they understood. Apart from the shrines, other people are also making alliances. If they don't form groups, they won't be able to get any Saint Luck, and the shrines will get all of it. They said to one another. Lin Feng looked at the members of the Fortune Shrine. They were wearing white robes. They had an elegant and smart carriage. That Saint Luck unicorn is ours, said a strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine, pointing at the fire unicorn. It's mine, retorted a unicorn coldly. How could he give it to the Fire Shrine? Chapter 2347. Canonization Mountain. All the strong cultivators were standing there, and a great battle was on the verge of breaking out. At that moment, some special strength filled the air. The atmosphere was distorted. Instantly 2 Saint Luck entities were absorbed. Go! All the strong cultivators of the Empty Space Shrine released empty space strength in a dazzling display. Their figures streaked across the sky, and they disappeared. Oh no, they took 2 Saint Luck entities away, swore the crowd. Even the other members of the shrines were stupefied. The strong cultivators of the Empty Space Shrine were extremely strong. With empty space energy and their saints' weapons, they could do things quickly. They had just taken 2 Saint Luck entities, and were already at the exits. Nobody could catch up with them. Damn shrines. And they joined hands, said someone coldly. The atmosphere started freezing. A cultivator threw himself at a Saint Luck creature. Condense. Ancient imprints appeared all around, and turned into gigantic words. That person could only watch it come in horror. Die! Many dazzling lights struck him, and he vanished, killed in the blink of an eye. He hadn't had even a second to react. Even if he had time, how could he have resisted a saint's weapon? It was Saint Emperor Xiefeng. He was killed in the blink of an eye even though he was a saint emperor at the top of the Shengdi layer. That's the power of saints' weapons, especially when people join hands. When Saint Emperor Freeze saw that, he pulled a long face. Nobody would dare steal Saint Luck creatures in such circumstances. What a tragic death. Seal the area, and when we agree on who the Saint Luck entities belong to, we can reopen it, said a strong cultivator from a shrine. Everybody was stunned. Seal the atmosphere? People who weren't from shrines were furious. Lin Feng glanced over at someone who was going to a place nobody had noticed. The reason Lin Feng paid attention to that person was because it was Chu Chunxiu. What is the secret of this place? How is Saint Luck created? Lin Feng repeated to himself. Chu Chunxiu slid over to the place from which Saint Luck seemed to come. I don't want that Saint Luck. You enjoy yourselves, said Saint Emperor Freeze coldly. He followed Chu Chunxiu as well. Many people noticed this. Could the place where the Saint Luck was created harbor other mysteries? Lin Feng's heart was pounding. There was a vortex where the Saint Luck was created. Lin Feng could sense a thick qi there. Chu Chunxiu flew ahead and penetrated into the vortex. The crowd was astonished how brave. Nobody dared do that, but he plunged right in. 1,000 years have passed again. If I don't become a saint this time, when will I? Thought Saint Emperor Freeze. Then he flew ahead and dove into the vortex also, not caring about the consequences. Lin Feng was just standing under the vortex, and he sensed some celestial Tao. He raised his head, looking perplexed. What kind of strength was celestial Tao? He had his own world. Could his own world generate celestial Tao too? God Tao was his Tao, but he had the impression something was missing. Lin Feng flashed ahead. He entered the vortex, and quickly realized he was somewhere else. It was another world. There was an endless amount of strength in there. Where are we? Whispered Lin Feng. It was a strange world. He couldn't see clearly. Celestial Tao is dimly discernible, whispered Saint Emperor Freeze. He had been a Saint Emperor for such a long time. He really wanted to become a saint. Suddenly, more figures appeared behind them. Lin Feng was startled. Many cultivators were walking in there alone, and they weren't from the shrines. They knew they couldn't steal the Saint Luck from the shrines, so they had followed Saint Emperor Freeze. What a strange place, murmured everybody. A terrifying strength appeared and made everybody shake. Clouds appeared and a strong wind started blowing. A mountain became visible. The crowd looked at the mountain. It seemed extremely close and extremely far away at the same time. A figure flew up. He wanted to get closer to the mountain, but it looked enigmatic and unfathomable. It was extremely high and it seemed impossible to get close. This place is called the canonization area. So that mountain could be the canonization mountain, said someone. Everybody looked at the mountain, as if it were a holy mountain, a holy creature. It seemed so close and yet so far. The crowd saw a demon fork appear in Chu Chunxiu's hand, and he suddenly threw it at the mountain. The demon fork crashed into the mountain. People's hearts pounded. Was he insane? And why could his fork reach the mountain, and they couldn't? Boom boom boom. A terrifying celestial Tao oppressed the atmosphere. People couldn't compete with it. That kind of strength. Lin Feng frowned and looked at Chu Chunxiu. Was Chu Chunxiu the same as he used to be? Or had he changed after the supreme ancient pit of hell? Celestial Tao deceives people, said Chu Chunxiu. He released demon qi and absorbed the vitality of the area. He slowly walked forwards, moving farther and farther from the crowd. When he stopped, the crowd realized he was at the foot of the mountain. How come he managed to get there? The crowd frowned. Lin Feng was astonished too. Nobody could get close to the mountain but Chu Chunxiu could. Did it mean that he was going to become a saint? And what did celestial Tao deceives people mean? Lin Feng's figure flickered. He moved towards the mountain too. However, he realized he couldn't get close. Lin Feng wondered whether it existed for real or not. Maybe it's just an illusion, a mirage. But why did Chu Chunxiu manage to reach it? Thought Lin Feng. He continued walking forwards, but couldn't get close to it. The distance between him and the mountain remained the same. Some strong cultivators released empty space strength and tried, but they failed too. It's fake. Maybe it's a mixture of truth and falsehood? Thought Lin Feng with a sudden smile. He regained his calm. He didn't try to walk towards the mountain anymore. However, his figure became blurry, and he disappeared from their field of vision. After a millisecond, Lin Feng reappeared at the foot of the mountain. Lin Feng and Chu Chunxiu then suddenly appeared in another area. What's going on? The crowd was astonished, dumbstruck. Those two people had reached the mountain, and then they had disappeared all of a sudden. When Saint Emperor Freeze saw that, he started shaking with emotion. I see. Transcend worldliness and attain holiness. I was too stubborn all those years, and it had the opposite effect. Actually, it's just one step. Saint Emperor Freeze took a step forwards and disappeared. He arrived in front of the mountain too. The crowd was astonished. Saint Emperor Freeze had understood something? At that moment in the outside world, there was a great battle going on. Many people who were alone and didn't belong to shrines died. Even some members of the shrines died. The Fire Shrine obtained one Saint Luck entity. The Fortune Shrine and the Earth Shrine also obtained a Saint Luck entity and left the battlefield. They weren't greedy and didn't try to obtain more. Some people who were hopeless did like Lin Feng and the others and entered the vortex. Chapter 2348. Understanding at the Canonization Mountain. Chu Chunxiu, Lin Feng, and Saint Emperor Freeze were calmly standing there and could sense a clear celestial Tao. Saint Emperor Freeze looked at Chu Chunxiu and Lin Feng and smiled. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Without you, I wouldn't have understood what celestial Tao is. It's an illusion. It's not something you chase. It's something that's a part of you. Your body is like the celestial Tao. The same rules which apply to nature also apply to your body. So many years have passed and finally, we're going to have an opportunity to become saints. Then he sat down cross-legged facing the mountain. They didn't need Saint Luck there. They could study celestial Tao and see if they could transcend worldliness and attain holiness. The same rules which apply to nature also apply to your body, whispered Lin Feng. He was different from other people. His body didn't work like nature. He had his own world. He was a king there. But could there be celestial Tao in his own world? Celestial Tao deceives people. How could it also make your body work like nature? Whispered Chu Chunxiu. He looked furious, more like a demon than ever. He didn't want to respect the rules of the world. Saint Emperor Freeze, Lin Feng, and Chu Chunxiu were all thinking about celestial Tao. They all had different viewpoints, but who would become a saint? In the distance, many people looked at the mountain, wondering how they could get there. How had Saint Emperor Freeze, Lin Feng, and Chu Chunxiu gone there? Had they understood anything in particular? And could they study something in particular over there? Saint Emperor Freeze is practicing cultivation. He's studying how to become a saint, said someone. How many people will become saints this time? All those people were saint emperors, one step away from becoming saints. But they needed to understand how. Becoming a saint wasn't something which could be done using strength. Lin Feng's eyes were closed. He had been there for 5 days already. He was sitting calmly in his own world. The last time, when strong cultivators had surrounded him in the Black Phoenix Valley, he had understood a lot. However, he hadn't modified his god strength enough. He could still improve it. Lin Feng was in the sky of his world, above the clouds. A strong wind started blowing. He felt like a god. Could he create his own celestial Tao? Cultivators studied celestial Tao to become saints. They all had different ways of studying and understanding things. The goal was then to transcend worldliness. Lin Feng was different from other people. Did he have to make his own celestial Tao? Tian Tao is dimly discernible, but it's real. A mixture of truth and falsehood. It's like an illusion at the same time. Lin Feng's figure flickered and he disappeared. He reappeared in a city in his own world. These years Lin Feng's world had evolved on its own, so there were many cities. It almost looked like a real world. Lin Feng was in front of the Canonization Mountain, and at the same time in his own world. Saint Emperor Freeze was trying to make his body become celestial Tao itself. Chu Chunxiu thought that celestial Tao deceived people. Time passed, things changed, there were fewer and fewer people in the canonization area. Many people had already left the area of the mountain. The map in the world outside had already disappeared. Far from the canonization mountain, Tian was in a fire city. Around him were many cultivators from the fire shrine, bathing in an ocean of flames. The fire shrine had obtained a Saint Luck entity, and they had given it to Tian. Afterwards, they had made Tian practice cultivation, and decided to practice cultivation around him to benefit from his qi. That way, Maybe everybody would be able to benefit from Saint Luck. The members of the Earth Shrine gave the Saint Luck to Qi Lianshan. Xiongjiu Tian and Qi Lianshan were both Saint Emperors of the very top of the Shengdi layer. They had better chances to become saints than the others. The Fortune Shrine also obtained Saint Luck, and they were all trying to use it. That way, everybody increased their chances of becoming saints at least some. Becoming a saint wasn't something which happened in one night. Therefore, years passed and the canonization area grew truly calm. Nobody became a saint. A terrifying qi filled the air in the cave where Qiongjiu Tian was. Very quickly, it enveloped the entire canonization area. People around Qiongjiu Tian suddenly opened their eyes. They looked sharp. He broke through. They all looked at Qiongjiu Tian, who was bathing in flames. Saint Qi. It was very intense. Qiongjiu Tian was in the process of becoming a saint. "I'm about to become a saint," shouted a voice furiously in another place. Saint Qi rolled in waves there too. Someone else leveled up. 2 people became saints, thought the crowd shaking. Every 1,000 years, there were at least 3 people who became saints thanks to the canonization area. So far, 2 people seemed to have become, or were becoming saints. It was incredible. Qiongjiu Tian was bathing in flames. He opened his eyes and stood up, much taller now. Now if he wanted he could stretch out his hands and touch the sky. What a powerful strength. That's the spirit. Qiongjiu Tian touched the sky. A hole appeared there. Using celestial Tao was incredible. He took back his hand and left behind a hole with fire in the sky. That was the power of a saint. The sky was burning. The members of the fire shrine felt released from pressure. Would the world clan dare do anything to him now? Let's go. Qiongjiu Tian slowly walked towards the exit of the canonization area. Qiongjiu Tian, go back to the fire shrine. Your teacher will be so happy. You're so young and you're already a saint. A strong cultivator smiled. Qiongjiu Tian looked at him coldly, which made that person shudder with fear. He immediately lowered his head. Qiongjiu Tian had become a saint, and looked completely different. "I'll go to the World Clan before going back to the fire shrine," said Qiongjiu Tian coldly. "World Clan?" That cultivator was surprised. "Yes, I'm going to kill people," said Qiongjiu Tian with murder in his eyes. Very quickly he left. A strong cultivator also left after him. "Qi Lianshan, you want to go to the World Clan? But now we are both saints. We're going to see who's stronger now," said Qi Lianshan. He also headed to the World Clan. He didn't know that Lin Feng wasn't there. At that moment, next to Lin Feng, Saint Emperor Freeze opened his eyes and smiled. He looked at Lin Feng and Chu Chunxiu, his eyes twinkling. Chu Chunxiu and Lin Feng had made him understand something, and thanks to them, he had finally become a saint. Now he had become a saint without Saint Luck. Lin Feng and Chu Chunxiu were still meditating. Chu Chunxiu kept absorbing the qi around him. A terrifying pitch-black vortex appeared around him. Celestial Tao deceived people. He wanted to go against the gods. He wanted to transcend worldliness and absorb the skies. That was his way. Lin Feng was in his world, his god strength becoming more and more ominous. But it wasn't as aggressive anymore. It had become gentle and subtle. In front of Lin Feng was an ancient tree with green leaves. The leaves fell from the tree and landed on the ground. They turned orange. Then it snowed, and the tree blossomed again. Lin Feng witnessed the 4 seasons. That's God's strength. Lin Feng controlled everything around him. His god Tao was his celestial Tao. He could create any kind of strength. Chapter 2349. Gathering in the World Clan. Lin Feng raised his head, his eyes still closed, and condensed strength, his qi much more powerful. However, after that, Lin Feng opened his eyes and looked disappointed. "I still don't understand. Why can't I understand?" whispered Lin Feng. He could control an incredible god strength, but he couldn't make his body work in resonance with celestial Tao. Only a little something was missing, but that little something was huge. If he understood that little something, he'd reach the 2nd level of his god layer. But that little something seemed to be so far. Outside, Lin Feng opened his eyes and looked at the mountain. The celestial Tao was dimly discernible. Saint Emperor Freeze's body had become nature itself. Chu Chunxiu had started a war against celestial Tao. That was their way, not Lin Feng's. He glanced at Chu Chunxiu. Chu Chunxiu seemed like he was going to destroy the canonization mountain. Lin Feng didn't do anything. Even though there were tensions between Chu Chunxiu and him, he couldn't attack him by surprise in such circumstances. That would have been a blasphemy as a cultivator. Lin Feng turned around and slowly walked away. After a few seconds, the canonization mountain seemed so far away from him. As Lin Feng left, he looked natural and unrestrained, confident and at ease. He didn't need to force himself, and staying there was useless. He needed a good opportunity to become a saint, and good comprehension. After leaving, Lin Feng contacted Alma. A short time later, he heard a dragon chant and golden lights appeared in the distance. Not bad, you understand empty space strength really well now, little boy. Lin Feng smiled. Father. Alma greeted him, landing in front of Lin Feng. How did it go? Asked Lin Feng. Even though he wasn't strong enough back then, the saint luck had been very beneficial to him. Very good. It's a mysterious feeling through. I can't really describe it. I made great progress though. Do you want to see? Asked Alma smiling. Lin Feng patted his head and smiled. No rush. I'm going back to the World Clan first. Lin Feng jumped onto Alma's back. Golden lights flashed and Alma rose up into the air. Xiong Jiutian took some members of the Fire Shrine to the World Clan. They started setting the atmosphere on fire in the World Clan. An ocean of fire appeared, scorching hot. Buildings were burning down one after another. A group of strong cultivators from the World Clan showed up and watched the members of the Fire Shrine coldly. An old man asked, Fire Shrine, what is this supposed to mean? Where's Daimon? Demanded Xiong Jiutian coldly, releasing his saint's strength. A terrifying and oppressive fire surrounded the old man, who pulled a long face. A saint. That person was completely different from the rest now. He had transcended worldliness. He could easily crush them if he wanted. Daimon hasn't come back, said the old man. Xiong Jiutian groaned coldly and said, Daimon killed some of the members of the Fire Shrine in the canonization area. And now you think he can continue hiding? More fireballs appeared in the sky and oppressed the strong cultivators of the World Clan. They all pulled a long face. How could they compete with a saint? Xiong Jiutian warned someone at that moment. Qi Lianshan had arrived. He owed Lin Feng and was worried that Xiong Jiutian would kill him, so he rushed over. You also became a saint. Fight against me, said Qi Lianshan. He looked so strong as a real mountain. The strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine felt great pressure. Some of them could barely breathe. Xiong Jiutian suddenly turned around and said to Qi Lianshan, Since it's that way, we'll fight. Xiong Jiutian suddenly disappeared, and a gigantic hand with fire strength descended from the sky. Qi Lianshan grunted coldly. He wasn't afraid. A terrifying earth punch smashed into the fire hand. The energies exploded and disappeared. Xiong Jiutian reappeared in front of Qi Lianshan. Die, said Xiong Jiutian, pointing a finger filled with saint strength. Qi Lianshan released earth strength to surround his body. That finger was too fast and crashed onto his head, as sharp as a sword. Qi Lianshan moved backwards. Xiong Jiutian wasn't going to let him go, but he also felt the pressure. Qi Lianshan couldn't see Xiong Jiutian anymore. He still raised his fist, and earth strength surrounded the atmosphere around him. Thunder rumbled as Xiong Jiutian threw himself at him. What a powerful shell, thought Xiong Jiutian. He was annoyed. More and more energies surrounded him. At that moment, Qi Lianshan was amazed because he had used the best defense he could already. His fist became even harder and saint's lights twinkled around it. The finger and the fist collided. Both fighters were propelled backwards violently. They were both half-saints so far. Their cultivation wasn't very stable. Qi Lianshan, you want to cause trouble, swore Xiong Jiutian. His arms were shaking. Haha, Xiong Jiutian, you're a saint too now. And now you want to avenge Qiong Haya, who was so useless. He was so weak. He chased Daimon to kill him, and Daimon killed him. You can't really say anything about it. Indeed, but now I'm strong enough, and I can come and destroy the World Clan if I want to, said Xiong Jiutian emotionlessly. The Fire Shrine isn't far from here. I've informed the shrine, and soon many strong cultivators are going to come. Of course, they won't get involved. I will take care of Daimon personally. Qi Lianshan remained silent. Cheong Jiutian really wanted to kill Daimon. Even though Daimon was extremely strong, if he hadn't become a saint, he'd definitely die. People from the World Clan looked extremely worried. Saints were really terrifying. If Lin Feng came back, and that Cheong Jiutian tried to kill him, they'd do their best to protect him. The members of the fire shrine didn't move, they were waiting. The fire shrine wasn't far from the northwest area. As expected, after a short time, a group of strong cultivators appeared in the distance. Their leader was a middle-aged man. He looked free from inhibitions and happy. He smiled and said, Jiutian, you've broken through to the Sheng layer. You're a saint now, how wonderful. Cheong Jiutian turned around and looked at the middle-aged man. Teacher, how come you came here personally? My disciple became a saint, how could I not come? Replied the middle-aged man with a smile. Next to him was a young man who looked cold, but then smiled indifferently and said, Congratulations, fellow disciple. You've been a saint for hundreds of years. I just became one. You're much stronger than me, said Cheong Jiutian casually. Right, fellow disciple, what are you doing here? Cheong Jiutian looked furious and said, Haiyu was killed by a member of the World Clan. I had to come here. What is that supposed to mean? Said the young man, glancing at the members of the World Clan coldly. The World Clan disappeared for a long time. Now you're back and you think your ruler's here? At that moment, some people gazed into the distance sharply. Daimon. Cheong Jiutian saw Lin Feng and Alma. They were going to die, definitely. Cheong Jiutian charged towards Lin Feng instantly. Qi Lianshan flashed forwards to stop him, but Cheong Jiutian's fellow disciple prevented him from moving. He said coldly, Earth Shrine, don't intervene here. Piss off, shouted Qi Lianshan coldly. He released a terrifying strength and rose up into the air. Cheong Jiutian's teacher grunted coldly and disappeared. Cheong Jiutian shot towards Lin Feng quickly. Lin Feng frowned. He hadn't thought Cheong Jiutian would try to kill him so quickly. He had become a saint, and was even faster than before. He pointed at Lin Feng with all his fingers. He wanted to destroy him. Chapter 2350. What a turnaround. Lin Feng looked at Cheong Jiutian and pulled a long face. Cheong Jiutian had become a saint. His fingers contained a terrifying amount of saint's strength. There was fire all around him. Cheong Jiutian's attacks reminded Lin Feng of the ancient holy techniques, or sky-absorbing Dao strength. His attacks now contained saint's power. Alma's figure flickered and disappeared from there. But Cheong Jiutian just grunted coldly. He could still see them clearly. He released strength to surround them. Lin Feng and Alma sensed a terrifying fire penetrating into their bodies. Lin Feng released as much God strength as he could in his body, trying to escape, but Cheong Jiutian continued chasing him. He stretched out his fingers towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng had the impression he was surrounded by invisible and intangible chains. His face instantly turned deathly pale. Alma roared furiously, golden lights surrounding him. At the same time, he also released demon intent and brandished his claws. Flames struck his body and started burning away his life. Alma raised his head and roared even louder. He was a gigantic dragon, but those fingers could destroy him. Alma, shouted Lin Feng, his expression changing drastically. He hadn't thought Alma would jump in the way. Father, leave, shouted Alma. Lin Feng's heart twitched as he glared at Cheong Jiutian. Cheong Jiutian wanted to kill Alma. Lin Feng couldn't accept that. He immediately threw himself at him. Die, said Cheong Jiutian. Lin Feng sensed a terrifying saint's strength surround him, and could only snarl. Cheong Jiutian was much stronger than before. Lin Feng took out his great demon halberd of desolation and shouted furiously. It streaked across the sky. A demon trail appeared in the sky, and the great demon halberd of desolation moved towards Cheong Jiutian's fingers. Cheong Jiutian grunted icily, and continued moving towards Lin Feng without slowing. Die! Lin Feng released as much strength as he could. However, at that moment, a gigantic fire curtain appeared in front of Cheong Jiutian. It looked like a gigantic fire pearl. It enveloped the great demon halberd of desolation. Cracks appeared in it instantly. But then Tian appeared in front of Lin Feng, condensing a terrifying strength in his fist, and punched out in Lin Feng's direction. Lin Feng condensed strength in his left hand, and struck back against the fire fist. Saint's strength struck his fist and penetrated into his body. A terrifying black fire surrounded him. He couldn't escape, and now he was burning. "Father!" shouted Alma furiously. The strong cultivators of the World Clan turned deathly pale, and moved towards Lin Feng at full speed. Lin Feng couldn't compete with a saint. "Daimon!" shouted Qi Lianshan. His face stiffened. Was Daimon going to die there? If Lin Feng didn't have an incredible god strength in his body, he would have died already. But he couldn't break free now. He looked at Tian, who looked like a fire god. "Saints understand celestial Tao. How could you compete with me?" Daimon," said Tian coldly. He sounded like he was fire incarnate. He was fire Tao. Tian and Saint Emperor Freeze are the same. Their body turned into an element for them to become saints, thought Lin Feng. Tian had turned into celestial Tao at that moment. It was the first time Lin Feng had fought against a saint, and really sensed his strength. In the past, he had seen saints, but he had never had a real fight. He became celestial Tao. He studied celestial Tao. At that moment, Lin Feng had many thoughts. "Die," said Tian. He released even more strength, but at that moment, Lin Feng released a particular kind of strength and smiled back at Tian. He thought, "Since it's that way, I'll use God's strength. With God's strength, I can control anything." I wanted to turn into a real god. But I was wrong, because I am a real god already. Yes, the god of my body. My body is a god. I represent my body. Why would I use God's strength? I am God's strength. God's strength is me. Celestial Tao is me. Here is my world, so I am this world. I am his god too. "You're not dead yet," said Tian when he saw Lin Feng smile. He was a bit surprised. Not only had he not managed to kill Lin Feng yet, but Lin Feng was now smiling. "I am afraid you won't see me die," replied Lin Feng indifferently. Tian was stupefied. Why? What was going on? Lin Feng had suddenly changed. Suddenly, he looked like a completely different person. Lin Feng's injuries healed instantly. He opened his hand and smashed Tian, smiling indifferently. Tian was astonished. How is that possible? Tian couldn't believe it his eyes. He had become a saint. He had to kill Daimon from the World Clan. "You're disappointing," said Lin Feng indifferently. He put his fingers on Tian's head. Tian's face changed drastically, and he retreated as quickly as possible. However, Lin Feng chased him, and put his fingers back on Tian's head. Tian was dumbstruck. His eyes suddenly became empty. His life was being corroded. His soul slowly shattered and vanished. He fell softly to the ground. Everything had happened so suddenly. At first, Tian had almost killed Lin Feng. And then Lin Feng had suddenly changed, and then killed him. Alma, the members of the Fire Shrine, the strong cultivators of the World Clan were all astonished. Nobody had thought there would be such a turnaround. "Father!" Alma roared happily. His father had broken through during the battle. Otherwise, there couldn't have been such a turnaround. Tian had become a saint. He would have destroyed Lin Feng easily. Lin Feng had actually easily endured Tian's first attacks, which meant that ordinary saints couldn't do anything to him. "My father is terrifyingly strong. He can now easily defeat people who have just become saints," thought Alma happily. He had never heard of such a thing in the supreme animal world, either. "Tian's teacher shouted furiously. His face was extremely unsightly. His disciple had just become a saint, and now he was dead. Tian's body was on the ground, thoroughly dead. At that moment, Tian's teacher immediately released a terrifying strength, which moved towards Lin Feng, and bore down on him. However, in front of him was a saint, who just looked back at him calmly. Chapter 2351. God's Strength. What? You don't seem to care when you kill people. But when your people are killed, you react with such ardor? said Lin Feng when he saw the members of the fire shrine looking at him icily. If Lin Feng hadn't suddenly understood something, Qiong Jiutian would have killed him. You really want to die that much? Said the saint of the fire shrine, Qiong Jiutian's teacher. He was furious. We want to die, said the leader smiling. Your saint got killed by someone who suddenly understood something? You intend to send your saints to avenge him? Of course, I understand how strong shrines are. You directly send big armies to fight your enemies. Welcome, said the World Clan leader. Qiong Jiutian's teacher frowned. The World Clan welcomed them? The World Clan had been silent for so many years. Why did they dare act so arrogantly? Did they think they could compete with the fire shrine? Lin Feng slowly walked forwards and stopped next to the World Clan leader. He smiled at the Shriners icily and said, Qiong Jiutian and Qiong Haiya thought highly of themselves, but they brought about their own destruction. They deserved to die. We attempted the impossible, and it worked. Those people had no morals, no principles. They hadn't thought Qiong Jiutian and Qiong Haiya would get themselves killed. Qiong Jiutian's teacher was staring at Lin Feng. He didn't sense any saint's strength emerging from Lin Feng's body. But Lin Feng had really broken through. Or he wouldn't have been able to kill Qiong Jiutian. He couldn't have been feigning before. However, it was possible to see that Lin Feng had broken through and regained a natural state. He had returned to the source, to his true self. He now looked completely ordinary, like someone who didn't practice cultivation at all. The members of the fire shrine had no choice to admit that Daimon was incredible, and that someday he'd reach a terrifying cultivation level. The shrine teacher started walking, but not towards Lin Feng and the others. He walked towards Qiong Jiutian's corpse. Even though Lin Feng had killed Qiong Jiutian's corpse was a precious treasure for the fire shrine. He had many saints' weapons, including weapons which he had won in the canonization area. Lin Feng didn't need them. He had broken through, and had the great demon halberd of desolation, which would allow him to become even stronger. Qiong Jiutian's teacher took his body away, and left with the other members of the fire shrine. Qi Lianshan landed in front of Lin Feng, his eyes twinkling, and said, Daimon, you're really strong. You suddenly broke through and killed Qiong Jiutian. I couldn't kill him, which means you could probably kill me. Luckily, we're not enemies. Thank you very much for coming here today. Lin Feng smiled back. Qi Lianshan had come to help him even though he was from the Earth Shrine, and had nothing to do with the World Clan. Getting involved hadn't been necessary. It wasn't much. You saved my life once. However, you killed Qiong Haiya. It didn't really matter, but now that you killed Qiong Jiutian also and have suddenly broken through, things are different now. I don't think the fire shrine will leave the matter at this. You have to be careful now. Even though I am willing to help you, I can't ask the Earth Shrine for help, said Qi Lianshan honestly. Even though he was a saint, he couldn't ask the Earth Shrine to help Lin Feng fight against the fire shrine. Shrines didn't get involved in such things, especially since Lin Feng was a stranger to them. I understand, and I know that the fire shrine won't leave the matter at this, replied Lin Feng. Lin Feng had had no choice but to kill Qiong Jiutian and Qiong Haiya. They wanted to kill him, so he couldn't let them live. That was his vision of cultivation. Be careful. Anyway, I can't do much more here. I'm off, said Qi Lianshan and quickly left. Let's go down, Lin Feng said to the people on his side. The news that Daimon from the World Clan had killed Qiong Jiutian, a saint from the fire shrine, didn't spread anywhere, because only a few members of the World Clan and a few members of the fire shrine had seen it, as well as Qi Lianshan. The members of the World Clan weren't the kind of people who went outside to brag about their military achievements, and the fire shrine wasn't going to tell people about something which was quite humiliating for them. Qiong Jiutian had just become a saint and Daimon had killed him. What a joke. Lin Feng was alert, however. After he returned to the World Clan, the World Clan wasn't afraid of the fire shrine coming to get their revenge at all. The army Lin Feng had obtained from the king of the 10,000 beasts was incredibly powerful, of course, but it wasn't strong enough to fight against a shrine and their saints. And shrines didn't lack for saints. The shrines of the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds had been in existence since the ancient times. They had an incredible heritage and many geniuses. Every generation, they had people who became saints. And saints, unless they had terrifying battles, didn't die. On the contrary, they kept getting stronger. There were more and more saints over time, unless great wars like in the ancient past occurred. Most of the time, they just didn't show up. However, Lin Feng was convinced that the Fire Shrine, as well as all the other shrines, had many saints. How many saints were there in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, the supreme animal world, hell, or the continent of the Nine Clouds? Usually they looked like ordinary middle-aged or old people. They went fishing, they had families, they had ordinary lives, and people couldn't see that they were saints. But they did exist in the world. Since the World Clan seemed to be unworried, Lin Feng didn't need to worry too much. He went to meditate in seclusion. Even though he was now terrifyingly strong, his cultivation level wasn't stable yet. Lin Feng was in his own world, floating in the air. He really had the feeling he was an authentic god this time. He felt free from inhibitions and happy. Spring, said Lin Feng. Suddenly, it was spring in his own world. Everything changed in his small world. Many people raised their heads. It wasn't cold anymore. The weather became mild. The mortals were astonished. That's genuine God Tao. My Tao is different from other people's Tao. God Tao is like celestial Tao. I can use to control everything. I am the celestial Tao of this world, whispered Lin Feng. He could see the whole world in his mind. He could also modify it as he wished. He could create oceans, cities, villages, forbidden territories, desert. And people in his world could go and explore those places. Naturally, many mysterious worlds, caves, weapons, and palaces appeared in that world. Now the people had to find and explore them. Lin Feng enjoyed this feeling a lot. He modified his world for a while. It was quite enjoyable. After a time he stopped and disappeared from there. After that, he reappeared in the imperial palace of Yangzhou City. Little Lin Feng, said Yu Menghe, smiling at him. How come it's spring all of a sudden? Mom, do you like spring? Asked Lin Feng, smiling. I prefer autumn. I love orange leaves. I feel natural and unrestrained in autumn, smiled Yu Menghe. All right, then autumn it shall be, said Lin Feng, nodded. Instantly, orange leaves appeared. An orange light appeared in the palace. Some orange leaves entered the palace through the windows. Yu Menghe was stupefied. Little Lin Feng, it's autumn now? So suddenly? Yu Menghe couldn't believe it. You've become even stronger, little Lin Feng, said Lin Hai, grinning. Father, smiled Lin Hai. Yu Menghe and Lin Hai had progressed a lot in terms of cultivation. Even if they didn't want to progress, it would be difficult. Master Lin Feng, you're getting stronger and stronger. You must be a legendary great emperor now, said Yi Shui, looking at Lin Feng admiringly. She had seen him grow up and become stronger. She was astonished each time she saw him. You underestimate him, said Xiaoya. Now, he just has to shout and he can kill ordinary great emperors. Don't exaggerate, said Lin Feng, shaking his head. Father, Mom, let's have a meal. All right, I'll go to the kitchen, said Yu Menghe, smiling and walking away. Lin Feng was so happy to spend time with his family. Chapter 2352. Studying peacefully, Lin Feng had a big meal with his friends and family members, and then continued studying. He was thinking, since his god Tao was the equivalent of celestial Tao in his world, he could probably make the population of his world sense cosmic energies too. Could he make them sense celestial Tao too? He was like a god in his world. So could he help people become stronger too? Lin Feng thought of the canonization area. That place could help people sense celestial Tao and become saints. In his world he was celestial Tao. He could create such a place too. But first he needed to understand all those things much better. Lin Feng was in a boundless place. There was a mountain suitable for cultivation. He was the only one who could go there, so nobody could disturb him. Lin Feng had his hands clasped behind his back. He looked at the sky. There was a mysterious chi. That was the boundary of his world. Now my world is complete. My body is celestial Tao, or God Tao in my world. Therefore I can recover very quickly. When I fought against Cheong Jiutian, I noticed that no matter how explosive his attacks were, He couldn't kill me because the strength of my own world allows me to recover at an incredible speed. Qiong Jiutian's attacks were incredible, but he didn't even manage to injure me, Lin Feng murmured. He didn't feel like his body was a normal body with internal organs and everything. He had the impression his body was a whole world, and that world was his life. He was already half immortal. Now that he understood that his god Tao was his own kind of celestial Tao, he needed to improve that strength. It was how he had easily killed Qiong Jiutian. It wasn't because the celestial Tao in his body was incredible that it had the same level in the outside world. If he bumped into very powerful saints, they would easily be able to kill him. In his own world, he was a god. In the outside world, he was a stranger. He didn't control the outside world. Last time when I woke up from my dream, I understood God Tao and suddenly became much stronger. That's how I reached the God level. Now it's the second time I broke through. I can say I have reached the second level of the God layer. I don't know how strong I can become though, he thought. He was a forbidden person, he didn't have a real cultivation level, he could only guess, and he couldn't learn from other people. Now with the celestial Tao in my own world, I am stronger here than in the outside world, which means I can create my own attacks, he pondered. His deployment spells had also reached an incredible level. He could cast deployment spells within milliseconds with the power of his mind. Could he improve his deployment spells? Lin Feng still had an endless number of possibilities before him. He could do whatever he wished. After studying for a long time, Lin Feng left his own world and went back to the World Clan to study in a cave. He was on a stone and suddenly opened his eyes. A terrifying celestial Tao had filled the air around him, before turning into a black cage made of God's celestial Tao. As expected, I can do it. Even without the celestial Tao of the outside world, I can use my own, but my strength is restrained. If an enemy's understanding of the celestial Tao of the outside world surpasses my understanding, then he'll be able to kill me easily, he thought. If he dragged people from outside into his own world, however, he'd be able to fight against and kill some terrifying opponents. Lin Feng continued studying. It felt like the first time he had understood God's strength. He had no cultivation level, he was his own God. But it was also a difficult journey, and a lonely one. Father, said Alma as he landed in front of the cave, smiling when he saw Lin Feng. He was happy and asked, Father, when your cultivation is stable, what will you do? Lin Feng smiled and said, You came at the perfect time. I wanted to see if you could come into my world. Alma and Lin Feng disappeared, reappearing in his world, at the mountain where nobody else could come. Little boy, you're a demon dragon. You control demon and empty space strength. If I used my most powerful demon and empty space attacks, would it help you understand those two kinds of strength? Asked Lin Feng. Suddenly, Alma was in a dark world, surrounded by demons, aggressive, violent, brutal, all sorts of demons. Alma shuddered with fear. At that cultivation level, cultivators could only rely on themselves. The better their understanding abilities, the faster they progressed. Lin Feng now gave the opportunity to sense all sorts of strength. Father, you're so strong. You can now create cultivation places, which are as advanced as some cultivation places you'd find in shrines, or in the supreme animal world, exclaimed Alma. In the supreme animal world, there were many places to practice cultivation, and he had tested out many of them. Lin Feng looked at the space. There was celestial Tao in his demon energies. He wanted to create Saint Luck for Alma to understand it. Of course, he needed to reach a certain level first. Even though he was like a god and understood all sorts of strength, he needed to think a lot to overcome all the difficulties. Alma roared and came out of the demon abysses. He said, Father, only a little bit more and I have the feeling you could create Saint Luck. Nah, I still need to progress a lot, replied Lin Feng, shaking his head. But I could make some mysterious worlds in my world. Of course, first, I need to improve my understanding of cultivation to create useful mysterious worlds. All right, said Alma, nodding his understanding. I wish I could understand time's strength and create special mysterious worlds to modify time. It would be great. Unfortunately, the time shrine disappeared a long time ago. There are only a few books about them in the shrine. and they're about acceleration and deceleration most of the time. They only contain threads of time strength, he sighed. Unfortunately, the time shrine had been destroyed, probably because they were too strong, so the other shrines couldn't let them live. Controlling time was something terrifying. There is time strength in Ganji's time, according to rumors. Nobody dares go into the depths of Ganji's time though. People are too scared they won't be able to come back, remarked Alma. He also wanted to see how powerful time strength could be. Time strength was an interesting kind of strength, because it had nothing to do with the 5 elements. Time strength is the only thing which applies everywhere. Even though my world and the outside world are different, there is time strength in both. Even if they're not entirely the same, modifying time strength in my world seems impossible for the time being. He thought, his eyes twinkled. But time strength was something difficult to study. How did the cultivators of the former time shrine study time strength? Of course, there was nothing about that in the books. But maybe there were some incredible cultivators from the time shrine still alive? There were always details only known to insiders. Chapter 2353. Meeting with the Void Phoenix clan. The Fire Shrine didn't come to the World Clan to cause trouble for Lin Feng. It was like they had forgotten about Cheong Jiutian and Cheong Haiya's deaths. However, the strong cultivators of the World Clan didn't seem to think that the Fire Shrine would let Lin Feng off. Lin Feng practiced cultivation for a while calmly. His cultivation gradually became more stable. Lin Feng was confident, convinced that no half-saint could compete with him. He had faith in his god strength. The World Clan received an invitation letter. The Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan were going to make their marriage alliance official. The cultivators of the World Clan didn't have a good premonition about it. Of course, they also showed it to Lin Feng. Even if it wasn't a good sign, Lin Feng had to know about it. When Lin Feng saw that letter, the old man in front of him said, "The Fire Shrine is probably looking for an opportunity to kill you, even if they didn't show it before." The Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan were getting closer and closer. Everybody in the Northwest area knew it. Inviting the World Clan wasn't necessary at all. Of course, people knew that Lin Feng and Qing Feng were extremely close to one another, but they didn't know about Daimon and Qing Feng. So some people still wanted to know whether they had an intimate relationship or not. "Maybe," said Lin Feng with a smile. "But even if they want to kill me, could they resort to high-level saints to kill me?" "I'm not sure. I don't think so. There aren't many high-level saints. I don't think the Fire Shrine can easily send high-level saints to fight against you. Even if they could, I don't think they'd do it. There are limits," said the strong cultivator of the World Clan. "Since it's that way, I'll go to the Void Phoenix clan. I don't risk anything. Even if they send saints to fight against me, I should be able to get through in one piece," said Lin Feng. The strong cultivator of the World Clan was floored, but in the end he smiled and nodded acceptance. Lin Feng was very confident of himself. He was already convinced that low-level saints couldn't kill him. Of course, he also knew that Lin Feng had terrifying saints' weapons. He had seen Lin Feng kill Cheong Jiutian. What had surprised him the most was that Cheong Jiutian's attacks were so dangerous. But he hadn't managed to injure Lin Feng at all. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, "You became a saint. You understand celestial Tao. You transcended worldliness and attained holiness. But how powerful is your physical body, your saint's body?" "My saint's body," repeated Lin Feng. Actually, describing Lin Feng's body with such a simple concept as saint's body wasn't enough. It was a euphemism. "It's all right," laughed Lin Feng. The old man laughed too, and didn't ask more. The atmosphere was lively in the Void Phoenix clan. The Fire Shrine wanted to make their marriage alliance with the Void Phoenix clan official. There were many powerful groups in the Northwest area who came to congratulate them. Even though they didn't understand why the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan wanted to do something as useless as that, they still came. The Void Phoenix clan and the Fire Shrine had already talked about that in the past. Why do it again? Anyway, the visitors still tried to look like they were having fun. Even the high officials of the Void Phoenix clan didn't understand why the Fire Shrine wanted to have another meeting. But since they wanted to come and talk about the details of the marriage alliance again, why not? It wasn't anything negative. There were many guests out on a vast public field. In the front were strong cultivators from the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan, chatting happily. Standing next to a saint from the Fire Shrine were two young people. One of them was Huixingzi, the other one was Hualing. Back then, the Fire Shrine wasn't sure about the potential grooms, and Xionghaye was a potential candidate. But he had been killed by Lin Feng, so they decided to replace him with Hualing. The groom didn't matter anyway. To the Fire Shrine, the most important thing was to have a marriage alliance with the Void Phoenix clan. And the Void Phoenix clan didn't mind, either. Qing Feng and Jing aren't here yet? Poor Huixingzi and Hualing, said a saint of the Fire Shrine with a smile. Brother Beishan, those two girls are really lucky. I already sent someone to call them. They'll arrive soon, replied the leader of the Void Phoenix clan cheerfully. Huixingzi and Hualing are two geniuses. Such cultivators are rare. They will become incredibly strong in the future. I know, right? Beishan Wang nodded. He looked over at the crowd. After a short time, Jing and Qing Feng arrived. They looked furious. The members of the Fire Shrine were there, and they didn't want to see them. You made Brother Beishan wait for such a long time, smiled a middle-aged man, Jing's father. We don't want to get married to those people, said Jing icily, yet in a low voice. Even though she didn't want to, she knew that infuriating the Fire Shrine wasn't a good idea. The Void Phoenix clan couldn't compete with the Fire Shrine. Therefore, she tried to control herself. Insolent, said the middle-aged man in a low voice. He glanced at Jing and said, It's the best thing which could happen to you in life. That's what you think, spat Jing. Get down, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan icily. Jing and Qing Feng landed next to them, and were surrounded by guards. Sorry, Brother Beishan. They're just joking, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. It doesn't matter. It's good to be a strong woman. They're perfect for Huixingzi and Hualing. Beishan Wang smiled. The crowd turned around and looked at them. Nobody knew what all those people were really thinking. At that moment, someone arrived discreetly. Huixingzi, who was drinking a cup of tea, turned around and looked at that person, frowning. His expression suddenly changed. People in the outside world didn't know that Daimon had killed Qiong Jiotian, but the members of the Fire Shrine did. Surprisingly, he came here. He's acting recklessly, thought Huixingzi. Many people from the Fire Shrine frowned when they saw Daimon. Beishan Wang recognized Daimon too. People from the Fire Shrine had all seen Daimon, either in reality or in illusions. Let's take Jing and Qing Feng back to the Fire Shrine today. That way, they'll be able to make friends with the young people of the Fire Shrine, proposed Beishan Wang, smiling indifferently at the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan didn't know what to say. He just smiled and nodded along. No problem, sounds good. The Void Phoenix clan seems impatient to sell their women to the Fire Shrine. Do you think the Void Phoenix clan will become stronger that way? Interrupted a voice caustically. The members of the Void Phoenix clan looked astonished and turned around, frowning at Daimon. This guy dared cause trouble? Insolent, shouted someone icily. A few people suddenly appeared in front of Lin Feng, all from the Void Phoenix clan. Their eyes were filled with murder. Let him pass, said Jing's father casually. Those people moved away, but they looked angry. The middle-aged man smiled at Lin Feng icily. World Clan Daimon. Indeed, replied Lin Feng with another cold smile. You came. You think the older members of the Void Phoenix clan won't do anything to you? Said the middle-aged man indifferently. He didn't know much about what had happened between Daimon and the Fire Shrine, but he hadn't asked either. Therefore, he didn't even know that Lin Feng had killed Qiong Jiotian. If you can do it, you can try. But I think the only thing you're capable of is selling your daughter, replied Lin Feng mockingly. The man frowned. Interesting little boy. You came to the Void Phoenix clan to have a sense of presence. Chapter 2354. Fierce battle. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan glared at Lin Feng icily. He was amazed. Daimon from the World Clan really wanted to die. The World Clan was in the northwest area, like the Void Phoenix clan. Many people compared them all the time. Daimon had become famous. He was considered as a genius. Not many people in the Void Phoenix clan were that famous. Now he had come to the Void Phoenix clan to cause trouble. Did he want to die? Of course, he was the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, so he controlled himself. He said calmly, Daimon, you were invited to come today. We didn't invite you to cause trouble. If you're not here to enjoy yourself, leave. I don't like the way you act. You amazingly want to sell women to the fire shrine. I prefer warning you, forget about the marriage alliance, or the Void Phoenix clan will. Lin Feng said easily. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was astonished. Daimon was threatening him? What an insolent little boy, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, glaring at Daimon. You're a little boy of the World clan. I will give you one opportunity only. Kneel down and apologize. Otherwise, I will not be merciful, and nobody will be able to say I wasn't magnanimous. You think you can act like that just because you're old? Ridiculous, said Lin Feng dismissively. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan grew even more furious. Leader, you're too polite. Daimon is an evildoer. No need to talk to him, just get rid of him, said Jing's father casually. The people who had just let Lin Feng pass landed in front of him again and released an ice-cold chi. Phoenixes started whistling, 4 flames shot towards Lin Feng. The crowd looked surprised. Was Daimon going to die there? He didn't even try to do anything to protect himself. There's something wrong. He's still there, noted someone. Lin Feng was bathing in the terrifying fireballs, and they didn't hurt him at all. Back everybody, shouted Jing's father instantly. Their attacks couldn't do anything to Lin Feng, so continuing the battle was useless. If Lin Feng counterattacked, he might kill them. However, as Jing's father said, that terrifying flames surrounded those people. They didn't have time to react. Ah! They screamed as they burned alive. They were fire cultivators. They were supposed to have a great defense against fire attacks. But at that moment, they were burning and shrieking in pain. How terrifying! Saint's fire, the crowd frowned. They didn't understand. The 4 people had suddenly started burning, but it wasn't their flames. The middle-aged man moved too, turning into a beam of light. However, the 4 people were already dead. They're dead. The father's expression changed drastically. He pulled a long face. He stared at Lin Feng and thought, that was Saint's fire. However, he didn't sense Saint's strength emerge from Lin Feng, and that fire was different from anything he had seen before. Lin Feng was still standing there calmly. He hadn't moved from the beginning to the end. I underestimated you, thought the father, frowning. He released Saint's strength, which moved towards Lin Feng, and oppressed him with fire celestial Tao. Lin Feng had the impression he was going to burn. Die, said the girl's father. The wind howled. A fire phoenix winged towards Lin Feng, full of celestial Tao. A gigantic firewall appeared in front of Lin Feng, then turned into an ice wall. The phoenix crashed onto it but failed to pierce through. Destroy, said Lin Feng. The ice wall rolled forwards, freezing the phoenix and the deadly flames around it. Sheng Layer. The father was astonished. Daimon had become a saint. Only a few years had passed, and he had become a saint. What a terrifying cultivation speed. Many people practice cultivation their entire lives, and never understood what celestial Tao was. However, Lin Feng had done it in a very short time. Daimon from the World clan is a saint. The whole crowd was astonished. Only saints could compete with other saints. No wonder you're so arrogant. You're a saint now. But so what? Even if you're a saint, you think you can come to the Void Phoenix clan and cause trouble here? Ridiculous. There are level differences between saints as well, said the father, smiling icily. He flashed forwards, his whole body filled with celestial Tao. He stretched out his fingers and pointed at Lin Feng. An illusionary black fire fused together with the earth and sky, and moved towards Lin Feng. Suddenly, a phoenix called out. The middle-aged man's fingers turned into phoenixes, trails appearing behind them. The energies were overwhelming. Oh wow, the attack is intensifying, thought the crowd as they retreated. Lin Feng slapped out, and a dauntless earth shield appeared, then moved towards the black fire phoenix and blocked it. The father's attacks couldn't pierce through Lin Feng's shield. How strong! Daimon is a saint. How come he looks so relaxed? I have the impression his attacks contain deployment strength. That shield contains a special kind of strength, but there's definitely deployment strength inside. The crowd now realized that Daimon was really strong. The girl's father released a mighty flame, and a black hole made of fire appeared. It started absorbing celestial Tao greedily, blazing furiously. That attack was really powerful, like he was trying to absorb the whole strength of the world. Saint's attacks are terrifying. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan frowned. That Daimon could fight against the girl's father? Daimon was really incredible. The father landed in front of Lin Feng. The black hole filled with phoenix fire crashed onto Lin Feng's shield. The vortex absorbed the shield and started to burn it. Lin Feng was in danger. How strong? The vortex was 100 meters high and contained a terrifying black phoenix fire. Lin Feng seemed like he could be overwhelmed anytime. He's just become a saint. He obviously can't compete with a cultivator, who has been a saint for a long time whose cultivation is stable. Daimon's opponent has been a half-saint for a long time already, and he's a disciple of the fire shrine as well, so he controls incredible fire attacks. Daimon could hold on so far. It's already a miracle. The crowd murmured. They already considered Daimon a dead man. At that moment, Lin Feng's eyes went pitch black, and suddenly, the middle-aged man had the impression the world around him was changing. He was now in a cave, in an empty world of darkness. How is this possible? He frowned. How could he end up in another world after a single glance? You're not strong enough, said a voice indifferently. The middle-aged man's head started pounding. He sensed celestial Tao move towards him, and the air was vibrating madly. He didn't know where the energies were coming from. Boom! A peerless strength smashed into him. His body trembled. In the outside world, his body was slammed away, and he coughed up blood. How is this possible? The man couldn't believe his eyes. Daimon was in front of him and said indifferently, "If you weren't Jing's father, I would have killed you." Chapter 2355. If anyone dares stop me, I'll kill them. Daimon had easily defeated a man who had been a saint for a very long time. He was a saint of the Void Phoenix clan, and if he weren't Jing's father, Daimon would have killed him. When the crowd heard that, they were speechless. The World Clan had disappeared for a very long time. Now they were back in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, and they had such a genius with them. They had heard about his battle against Huashang, when they were just saint emperors. Only a few years had passed, and Daimon had completely changed. He could now crush some saints. What a beast! Jing's father looked at Lin Feng visibly stunned. He had been a saint for so many years. His cultivation was stable. He understood celestial Tao quite well. He had good fighting skill. And yet, someone who hadn't been a saint for a very long time had defeated him so easily. He felt humiliated. If it wasn't for his daughter, he would be dead already. Because of Miss Jing, I decided to let you live. However, even if you're her father, you can't force her to do anything. If she wants to join the fire shrine and get married to one of their cultivators, fine. But nobody can force her. I'm her friend, and I really don't understand how her clan could sell her to the fire shrine. Are the members of the Void Phoenix clan the fire shrine's slaves? Wondered Lin Feng calmly. Many people who had been invited looked amused. Even though they were from the northwest area like the Void Phoenix clan, they had come to give them face. Not because they were excited to party with them, but now something interesting and funny was finally happening. They hadn't come for nothing. Daimon was humiliating them. Awesome. The members of the Void Phoenix clan looked at him icily, especially the leader. This little boy had just defeated a saint of the Void Phoenix clan. He slowly turned around and looked at the strong cultivators of the fire shrine. However, some of the members of the fire shrine were laughing. Others were smiling. Some others looked calm, as if all this had nothing to do with them. It infuriated him. Did he have to solve this issue himself? Did the fire shrine want to see how strong they were? I'll take Qing Feng and Jing back to the fire shrine first. You can solve the issue appropriately, said Bei Shan Wang to the leader of the Void Phoenix clan calmly. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was furious. How humiliating. Lin Feng had embarrassed them, and now the fire shrine wasn't helping at all. Shrines are shrines. They're proud. They don't care about the Void Phoenix clan, thought the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. He was disappointed. However, he couldn't tell anyone how he felt. He had to keep it to himself. The fire shrine didn't care about the Void Phoenix clan's face. "All right," said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. "Take them away." He sounded furious. He wanted to insult Beishan Wang, but he couldn't. Beishan Wang smiled coldly. The Void Phoenix clan couldn't know that the fire shrine hadn't come for Qing Feng and Jing. They had come for Daimon. They hoped that the Void Phoenix clan would kill Lin Feng. That way they wouldn't need to do anything. Nobody would be able to say that the shrines bullied younger people. Of course, if the Void Phoenix clan didn't manage to kill him, and he escaped, the fire shrine would have an excuse to kill him. How shameless. The Void Phoenix clan is just watching their women get kidnapped. They really have no sense of honor and integrity, said Lin Feng icily. "Shut up," shouted the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, throwing himself at Lin Feng. The crowd heard a sonic boom. Lin Feng sensed a terrifying phoenix strength oppress him, despite the distance. Lin Feng stretched out his hands, and his shield appeared again. Everyone heard it starting to crack, and his shield broke when the phoenix wings crashed against it. Dazzling wings moved towards him. Flames appeared around Lin Feng, and he was driven backwards violently. He suddenly disappeared and reappeared far away in the distance, his heart pounding. Lin Feng touched his forehead. There was blood there, but he recovered almost instantly. He raised his head and smiled at the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. "No wonder you're the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. You're only a low-level saint. You're a tiny little insect compared to the saints of the shrines. You can't contradict them if they say anything. You can only submit to them. And now you're releasing your anger on me." Daimon sounded like a real demon. He raised his hands and his great demon halberd of desolation appeared, demon strength surging out like a tide. The crowd all around was trembling. Demons were wailing furiously all around them. Lin Feng walked forwards. The Void Phoenix clan's leader looked at Daimon and saw only an evil smile and a terrifying weapon. It looked like the weapon of a demon king. Demons kept wailing mournfully. It wasn't very loud, but it was scary, and those mournful cries contained cursing strength. Empty space energy surrounded Lin Feng. He disappeared and a millisecond later, reappeared in front of the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. He raised his great demon halberd of desolation, which swept forwards as fast as lightning. A demon king roared in primal rage. Demon lights appeared all around. The crowd saw demons surround the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, even as cursing strength swarmed towards him. The face of the Void Phoenix clan's leader changed drastically. He felt he was in a demon ghost town. He could see rivers of blood all around him. He had the impression his mind was going to explode. "Piss off," shouted the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. At the same time he withdrew, a phoenix's wings surrounding him. He tried to expel the demon strength from his mind, but the demon king continued roaring, and the cursing strength contained a weird essence, which made it hard to control his celestial Tao anymore. "Break!" A terrifying chi kept bombarded him. A fire sword appeared, even more dazzling than the sun. It hacked forwards, there was an explosion, and the fire sword broke apart. He was driven backwards violently. The crowd just saw the leader of the Void Phoenix clan crash back into a wall, and then shattering sounds followed. "How strong! That demon halberd is overwhelming," muttered the crowd. They were trembling. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan kept getting smacked around. Their attacks don't even influence their surroundings. They have a perfect control over their strength. "Saint's strength is terrifying," whispered the crowd. The figure of the Void Phoenix clan's leader flickered. Even those who were trying to take Jing and Qing Feng away were astonished. "You dare bully me, a young cultivator? You think the Void Phoenix clan is imposing and awe-inspiring? Today, I will take Jing and Qing Feng, and we'll see who dares stop me," said Lin Feng, holding his great demon halberd of desolation and walking forwards. Demon strength kept surging out. Daimon looked like a demon king, his eyes pitch black and dreadful. "If anyone dares stop me, I'll kill them," said Lin Feng, walking towards Jing and Qing Feng. He had come to take them away. He didn't want them to stay in the Void Phoenix clan. There was nothing good for them here. Chapter 2356. Mysterious Demon Skill. Qing Feng knew that Daimon was Lin Feng, so she was very happy and smiled. She didn't like the Void Phoenix clan. She had gone to the Void Phoenix clan only for Lin Feng. She was happy yet nervous. Even if Lin Feng was extremely strong, Jing was confused. She didn't know that Daimon was Lin Feng, so she didn't understand why someone she had seen only a few times in her life would help her like this. But she was like Qing Feng. She didn't want to stay in the Void Phoenix clan anymore. She felt angry and disappointed. She had never thought the Void Phoenix clan would treat Qing Feng and her like bartered goods. The clan didn't care about what they wanted, and her father had even decided to ignore her mother. Lin Feng stepped forwards. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan could only grimace. He had just been overwhelmed by Daimon. This guy had a great demon halberd of desolation, and looked like a demon king with it. The members of the fire shrine continued remaining silent, as if all this had nothing to do with them. Everyone was looking at Daimon. He was so strong. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan, a low-level saint, had been defeated. Even if Lin Feng's saint's weapon was very powerful, the crowd knew that if he hadn't been strong, he wouldn't have been able to use it properly either. Even a low-level saint could have killed him. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was growing more and more furious. The members of the fire shrine still said nothing. Nobody could help them. He had been attacked by Lin Feng, and if he had been a half-saint, he would have been killed. Lin Feng hadn't even used a saint's weapon against Jing's father, and could have easily killed him. How humiliating. The Void Phoenix clan couldn't do anything against someone so young. Such a thing had never happened to them before. "If you don't piss off, I'll kill you," said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan icily, releasing phoenix fire energies which filled the air. A phoenix Taoist robe made of feathers appeared on his body. The leader hoped Daimon would leave. He didn't want to kill Daimon. "Empty words," said Lin Feng, glancing at him with his pitch-black eyes. He continued walking towards Jing and Qing Feng, the strong cultivators around them suddenly turning black. "Release them," shouted Lin Feng furiously. The two strong cultivators there started trembling, and sensed death invading their bodies. They saw illusions of death gods in their minds. Rivers of blood appeared in their minds, and they started transforming into demons before the two powerful saint emperors abruptly disappeared. In front of a saint emperor was nothing. Daimon could shout and kill them. Many people were dazedly wondering how long Daimon had practiced cultivation to become a saint. Insolent. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was bathing in flames. A dazzling flame dashed to the skies. Fire was everywhere inside the Void Phoenix clan. In the distance, a phoenix light curtain appeared and enveloped the whole clan. "What's that?" someone blurted out. A gigantic phoenix looked down at them, making them shiver. Was it a trump card of the Void Phoenix clan? What a terrifying chi. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, unconcerned as he mused. "A saint's weapon which contains real phoenix blood? You want to die, so I will kill you," said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. He stretched out his hand, and a sharp phoenix sword appeared. It absorbed the strength of the earth and sky greedily. The sword became even more dazzling. The air began to hum strongly. The sword floated above the leader, containing a terrifying strength. How strong! That weapon is a saint's weapon of the Void Phoenix clan. It must have been absorbing phoenix strength for thousands of years. Daimon is doomed this time, thought the crowd. People started running away. They didn't dare stay too close. "Throw your saint's weapon away and cripple your own cultivation. I won't kill you," the leader of the Void Phoenix clan said to Daimon. How could Daimon possibly obey him, though? He stopped walking towards Jing and Qing Feng. He knew that he had to take care of the leader if he wanted to take Jing and Qing Feng away. "So you really want to see how powerful my great demon halberd of desolation is? A short time ago, I realized a terrifying Peerless demon skill was inside it. If you want to continue fighting, we'll fight," replied Lin Feng. A black demon armor appeared around him. He grew to several times his former size, still holding the great demon halberd of desolation, which seemed to be keening in anticipation. People could sense that the weapon had been used to kill billions of people. It was filled with demon blood. That saint's weapon is the great demon halberd of desolation. Who was the initial owner? Why does Daimon have it? Wondered those who saw the ancient demon weapon. Did it really contain a terrifying demon skill? Since you're a peerless demon cultivator now, please, let's exchange views on cultivation, said the leader of the Void Phoenix clan icily. He raised his head and shouted, Void Phoenix lacerate. An incredible number of sharp phoenix swords shot towards Lin Feng. The leader wanted to contain him and kill him. This attack could easily kill a half-saint. That saint's weapon is not bad, Lin Feng said dismissively. A strong wind filled with strength was blowing, surrounding Lin Feng and the great demon halberd of desolation. Lin Feng attacked with his great demon halberd of desolation, moving like the wind. Demons surrounded him and lunged towards the incoming phoenix swords. Die! The leader of the Void Phoenix clan jumped forwards and shouted loudly. A dazzling phoenix suddenly appeared in front of Lin Feng. Go! Lin Feng threw his great demon halberd of desolation, shaking the earth and sky. It rose up into the air and tore apart the phoenix in front of him. All the sharp swords around Lin Feng shattered like glass. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan suddenly threw himself at Lin Feng. A gigantic phoenix appeared behind him. Die! He punched out, and an ancient phoenix moved towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng recalled his great demon halberd of desolation and walked forwards. He vanished. The great demon halberd of desolation created a terrifying wind around itself. Humph! The clan leader smiled icily. Many phoenixes appeared, but the great demon halberd of desolation destroyed them all, before the great demon halberd of desolation drove into his body. The crowd gaped. The great demon halberd of desolation had been driven into the leader's body? The leader of the Void Phoenix clan smiled icily and said, Phoenixes are immortal, I have a phoenix body now. He let the great demon halberd of desolation pierce right through him, and continued moving towards Daimon. Phoenixes fell upon the younger man. Die! A terrifying fireball smashed into Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng recalled his great demon halberd of desolation, and was driven backwards, coughing blood, paling a bit. A mighty life strength surrounded him. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was stunned. He had barely injured Daimon with his attack. Lin Feng used his great demon halberd of desolation like a pole to rise up in the air and said icily, Immortal, huh? I forgot to tell you that I had an immortal body. We'll see who's more immortal. He threw himself at his opponent again. Everybody was shaking. Their fighting abilities were terrifying, but their defenses were too. Did they both really have immortal bodies? Let's see if your immortal body can resist my great demon halberd of desolation's skill, snarled Lin Feng as he lashed out in front of him with the great demon halberd of desolation. Everybody heard a berserk demon song. Enjoy it, said Lin Feng. He disappeared and the great demon halberd of desolation moved forwards. Millions of demons appeared. Everybody started hallucinating. They saw corpses and blood everywhere. The terrifying demon song made everyone hallucinate. Countless demons. The great demon halberd of desolation contains a song, the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. Chapter 2357. Taking Control, the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. The crowd was astonished. One of the 9 famous songs, a demon song, and the great demon halberd of desolation contained it, so it was even more terrifying. Everything turned into demon strength around them, and absorbed the fire energy. Real demons appeared in the sky and chanted together in unison. It was overwhelming. The Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony summons real demons to fight, and the great demon halberd of desolation activated the song, thought the panicking crowd. A terrifying demon holding a steel fork threw himself at a gigantic phoenix and cut it apart instantly. The other demons then all started ripping into the phoenixes with their steel forks. As expected, it's like when I fought against the 9 Netherworld's emperor back then. The great demon halberd of desolation contains the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. Did the great demon halberd of desolation already contain the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony? Or did the cultivator, who created it, put it inside? Lin Feng wondered. He didn't know. He cut apart everything around him, while walking towards the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. The Void Phoenix clan's leader grimaced. That great demon halberd of desolation was too powerful, and it contained the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. A gigantic dazzling light appeared in the sky, and illuminated the fire phoenix. which looked even more dazzling that way. Die, said Lin Feng icily. His demons moved in all directions, sweeping away everything. 4 demons charged towards the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. Golden lights surrounded the demons, and the air shrieked with them. The 4 demons attacked with the momentum of an avalanche, and at the same time, Lin Feng carried out a powerful attack with his great demon halberd of desolation. Millions of steel forks chimed in mad harmony. The Void Phoenix clan's leader's phoenixes broke apart. He shouted furiously and released more fire celestial Dao. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was staring at Lin Feng. He really wanted to kill him. He flashed forwards, ignoring the demons. He wanted to kill Lin Feng. If he did, the demons would disappear, and the great demon halberd of desolation would be his. A terrifying demon steel fork stabbed into his phoenix body, but he continued walking forwards. Was he really indestructible? Lin Feng was surprised. He looked at the phoenix on his opponent's body. Was it indestructible? Lin Feng grunted icily, and assaulted the phoenix silhouette around his opponent's body with his great demon halberd of desolation as he rose up in the air. You'll die. The phoenix instantly shot towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was startled. His great demon halberd of desolation thrummed wildly. It crashed onto his opponent's head, but the man's head looked like an illusion and didn't break apart, bathed in phoenix flames. At the same time, a phoenix landed in front of Lin Feng, and fire penetrated into Lin Feng's body. He had the impression he was going to burn to death. He released as much life strength as he could. Nobody could destroy him. He was the god of his own body. He controlled the vitality of his own body. Those two really have immortal-type bodies, swore the shaken crowd. This battle transcended worldliness already. It was awe-inspiring. Destroy! Shouted the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. He could sense that Lin Feng's body contained a special kind of strength. It was difficult to destroy his inner power. Lin Feng pulled a long face. Even with his own world's strength, he could recover quickly, but there were limits. If his opponent's celestial Dao was too powerful in the outside world, he couldn't do much. A demon attacked the phoenix. The phoenix became dimly discernible and weaker. I'll definitely kill you now no matter what, said Lin Feng icily. He waved his hand, and the great demon halberd of desolation turned into a light beam. There was a peal of thunder, and the phoenix exploded. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was hurled away. Lin Feng moved towards him, his great demon halberd of desolation crashing onto his opponent's third eye. The leader instantly disappeared. He's dead. The crowd was astonished. The leader of the Void Phoenix clan was dead? On the day when the Fire Shrine had come to make their marriage alliance official, killed by a young man. If Daimon doesn't die, the World Clan will become a dazzling group, thought the onlookers. That fight just now had been just breathtaking. Who could stop Daimon in the Void Phoenix clan? The demons turned into demon strength and flowed back into the great demon halberd of desolation. The great demon halberd of desolation disappeared. Many people were impressed. What an amazing weapon! How audacious, said someone icily. The crowd was stupefied. They turned around and saw a strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine. It was Bei Shan Wang. He stood up and stared at Lin Feng while releasing qi. Daimon from the World Clan. You came today to cause trouble on the day of the marriage alliance between our shrine and the Void Phoenix clan. We don't like bullying younger people, so we didn't attack you. But you're too insolent. You even killed the leader of the Void Phoenix clan. And now you want to kidnap our women, said Bei Shan Wang icily. The members of the Void Phoenix clan were all shaking with fury. Daimon had fought against them. The 2 duels had been tragic for them, and the Fire Shrine hadn't done anything. Now their leader was dead, and finally the Fire Shrine was intervening. Marriage alliance. The Fire Shrine wanted good relations with the Void Phoenix clan. How ridiculous! The shrine had let their leader die. If they had helped and killed Daimon, that would have been fine. Everybody would have said Daimon wasn't strong enough. Brother, from now on, you're the leader of the Void Phoenix clan, said Bei Shan Wang to Jing's father. He was surprised but nodded. Everybody was even more shaken. Jing's father was a disciple of the Fire Shrine, and just a son-in-law to the Void Phoenix clan. He wasn't from the same bloodline. He was very close to the Fire Shrine, closer to the Fire Shrine than to the Void Phoenix clan. And now Beishan Wang from the Fire Shrine said that. Just a few minutes after the leader's death, two people appeared next to Jing and Qingfeng. Those people looked ordinary, they had no qi, and actually had been there the whole time. Those people had regained a natural state. They have transcended worldliness and attained holiness. The crowd was astonished. Those people were definitely from the Fire Shrine. Daimon was furious. Had the Fire Shrine organized everything? Lin Feng looked at Beishan Wang. Then he looked at Jing and Qingfeng again. He looked furious. Finally, the Fire Shrine was going to act. First, why would you get involved in the relations between the Void Phoenix clan and me? Second, when did Miss Jing and Miss Qingfeng agree to become women of the Fire Shrine? Beishan Wang laughed and retorted, "Mind your own business, will you? I killed Qiong Haiya. I even killed Qiong Jiutian, who had just become a saint. If you want to fight against me, continue sending people to me, no need to hide." "I despise people like you," said Lin Feng, smiling icily. Qiong Jiutian had become a saint and Daimon from the World Clan had killed him. No wonder. Beishan Wang ignored Lin Feng and said, "Take them away." After that, the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine grabbed Qingfeng and Jing. Lin Feng frowned. The Fire Shrine was going to attack. Chapter 2358. Lin Feng crushes saints. He waved his hands, and his great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky. Lin Feng looked at Beishan Wang icily. A terrifyingly explosive qi emerged from his body and surrounded the great demon halberd of desolation. The great demon halberd of desolation was like the king of weapons. "I told you those who dare stop me will die," said Lin Feng. Terrifying lights flashed around him. It felt like the atmosphere had been about to explode. The great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky and pressed forward with an indomitable will. Beishan Wang was astonished. If Lin Feng didn't take Qingfeng and Jing now, he would leave the matter at that. How arrogant. "Since it's that way, I'll respond to your request," said Beishan Wang in a cold and detached way. Instantly more silhouettes flickered. All those people were saints. The crowd trembled. The world was gigantic, but it was extremely rare to see so many saints at the same time. Only the shrines and the supreme animal world had that many saints. The other groups usually only had a few. At that cultivation level, battles were incredible. Those people were usually quite old too. They stood at the very top of the continent of the 9 clouds. Lin Feng looked at the saints, startled. Those people's celestial Tao was incredible. The stronger people were, the deepest their connection to nature was. One saint was already incredible, but several. "Very good. Let's see how strong the Fire Shrine is," said Lin Feng icily. Dazzling golden empty space lights flashed under his feet. Very quickly, a dazzling golden world appeared and enveloped everyone. Millions of dazzling threads of consciousness emerged from his third eye. Deployment spells, 1 millisecond and so many deployment spells. The crowd was trembling. At the beginning, they had sensed that Lin Feng's attacks contained deployment strength. Now they could see it. Great deployment master's strength, 1 millisecond, and he can cast such terrifying deployment spells. He's not only a saint, he's also a great deployment master. Deployment lights surrounded everybody. The world became golden. Everybody was in a golden world, including the crowd. What a powerful deployment spell. The crowd was astonished. Someone touched the golden wall. It was extremely hard, like a golden rock or fortress. That person condensed strength and attacked the wall, but nothing happened. It can't be broken. I'm a cultivator at the top of the Shengdi layer, and I can't break it. I'm so weak compared to a saint, mumbled that person, astonished. Everybody around was astonished. That deployment spell was one of the 3,000 great deployment spells Lin Feng had learned, called the Great Atmosphere Sealing Imprint Deployment Spell. He had modified it with God's strength. It was even more resistant. Obviously, a Saint Emperor couldn't break it. Beishan Wang was stupefied. He realized how scary that deployment spell was. He raised his hand and put a finger on the golden wall, and a strand of golden strength broke apart. He ran towards Lin Feng, but when he started running, he realized that the golden strand had reappeared. Oh no! He suddenly thought of something. He looked at Jing and Qing Feng. But Lin Feng had already reacted. Right after having cast the deployment spell, he had taken them into his small world. He was the only one who could see inside that deployment spell. The others were blind in there. The man who was initially next to Qing Feng pulled a long face. He attacked a golden line, and it exploded, but when it disappeared, his face turned deathly pale. The great demon halberd of desolation was there, waiting for him. The great demon halberd of desolation beheaded him. Then demon strength bombarded him, and his body vanished. The great demon halberd of desolation continued releasing demon strength. Lin Feng looked like a demon god. He recalled the great demon halberd of desolation, and looked at another saint, the one who had oppressed Jing. "The fire shrine forced me to do that," said Lin Feng flatly. His great demon halberd of desolation continued moving forwards, piercing through a golden pillar, and punching through that cultivator's head like the hook of a fishing rod. The saint didn't have time to dodge. He died instantly. Lin Feng realized that Bei Shan Wang was also getting involved, charging forwards to kill him. However, Lin Feng just smiled icily. Bei Shan Wang was a low-level emperor. The fire shrine had underestimated him, and the consequences were going to be tragic. Lin Feng pierced through a golden pillar. It was his own deployment spell. It didn't stop him. He could do as he wished here. When Bei Shan Wang arrived where Qing Feng was supposed to be, he realized that she had already disappeared. Daimon had already taken her away. He turned around and looked at the sky. The best choice was to escape from there. Bei Shan Wang rose up into the air. However, at that moment, a terrifying strength surrounded him, and a gigantic fire shield appeared to protect him. The fire shield broke apart. The great demon halberd of desolation continued moving towards him. Bei Shan Wang turned around, shattered a pillar, and flew up again. He had been so startled that he was covered with cold sweat. How scary! There was a rumble and eruption as he broke through the deployment spell and flew higher up. Bei Shan Wang looked at the ground, seeing the gigantic golden deployment spell. If he hadn't come out he would have died, because he couldn't see anything inside. "Oh no, the others!" Bei Shan Wang hissed. He was soaked with cold sweat. Other saints had come besides him. He was the only low-level saint in the group, but they had thought that he alone would be able to kill Lin Feng. Nobody had thought things would turn out this way. A terrifying fire gathered in the sky. Bei Shan Wang condensed celestial Tao. A gigantic black hand appeared and descended from the sky. "Destroy!" shouted Bei Shan Wang furiously. The gigantic black hand smashed into the deployment spell from outside to help the others escape. At that moment, terrifying golden empty space strength swept everything away, and the sealed empty space deployment spell turned into illusionary empty space strength. It was as if it didn't exist. "No!" screamed Bei Shan Wang. He saw the terrifying great demon halberd of desolation streak across the sky. The others weren't as lucky. The gigantic black hand smashed down on so many people and killed them instantly. That was where Lin Feng was a moment before, but he had moved. People from the Fire Shrine and the Void Phoenix clan were there, so that gigantic black hand killed many of them. The destructive cloud slowly dispersed. However, another great deployment spell appeared. Bei Shan Wang looked at it, his mouth twitching. Lin Feng looked at him provokingly before disappearing into the great deployment spell. He could cast deployment spells in the blink of an eye. Bei Shan Wang felt powerless. "Uncle Bei Shan," said a saint, arriving next to Bei Shan Wang, one of his arms missing. Bei Shan Wang had done it with his gigantic black hand. Bei Shan Wang looked at him and said, "I'm so sorry for you. I feel so sorry I made you all come today." "Uncle, we must destroy him and the World Clan," said the saint. His eyes were filled with murder. At the same time, some chi rose in the distance. Maybe that the Fire Shrine had realized there was a terrifying cultivator here, so they had decided to send some backup. Chapter 2359. Ancient World's Hidden Strength. Bei Shan Wang and the saints of the Fire Shrine turned around and watched three people arrive. Bei Shan Wang pulled a long face. Those three people were his fellow disciples. All of them were extremely strong. They had probably seen saints' talismans break apart and rushed over. Even though they were here, Beishan Wang didn't look happy at all. Saints had died, and the worst thing was that he had killed them accidentally. It was a tragedy. If he went back to the fire shrine, he'd be reprimanded severely. What's going on? The three people asked. They were staring at Beishan Wang. He felt pressured, not physically but on the inside. What to say? That a young man who had become a saint a short time ago was difficult to deal with? Uncle, Daimon from the World Clan is a great deployment master. His deployment spells are terrifying, and he can cast them within seconds. He put us in a cage and started chasing us to kill us. When I was inside, I couldn't see anything anymore. Uncle Beishan saved me, said the other saint. Beishan Wang glanced at him. This little boy didn't disappoint him. Great deployment master? The few people said icily. Is there anyone else? They're all dead, replied Beishan Wang. He pulled a long face. So let's destroy the deployment spell, said that person icily. Beishan Wang nodded. That's what I was thinking. We break the deployment spell, and we kill Daimon. Then, we can go to the World Clan, and destroy them as well. Otherwise, the consequences could be severe. Lin Feng could hear them perfectly. He was still holding the great demon halberd of desolation. The situation was getting dangerous. The strong cultivators of the fire shrine had arrived too quickly. They were all low-level saints, no weaker than Beishan Wang, especially the one who had just talked. His chi seemed more powerful than the others. Even Beishan Wang seemed to respect him. He couldn't do much against a group of people like that, even with the great demon halberd of desolation. Besides, the members of the fire shrine were shameless. They had caused trouble. They had prevented him from leaving. Then he had protected himself. And now they wanted to destroy the World Clan. Lin Feng turned around and looked at someone in the deployment spell. It was Jing's father. Even though Lin Feng wanted to get rid of him, he was Jing's father. And if he died, she'd blame him. He landed in front of the man. You. Her father looked furious, but Lin Feng said, if you don't want to die, don't attack me, go now. Then he grabbed him and rose up in the air. The middle-aged man was stunned. He saw some strong cultivators from the fire shrine. They were about to attack. Daimon, let me go, said the middle-aged man in relief. He almost felt grateful. Over there, shouted someone. The middle-aged man's silhouette flickered. He moved back. He saw a gigantic hand, which moved towards the deployment spell and crushed it. After the deployment spell broke apart, the attack continued pressing down. People in the deployment spell saw a terrifying destructive hand descending, their faces turning deathly pale. They were going to die. No, shouted people desperately, but it was too late. A low-level saint was too strong for them. People who weren't saints died instantly. They all died one after another. Many people from the Void Phoenix clan perished. When the middle-aged man saw that, his face turned deathly pale, and he pulled a long face. So many people from the Void Phoenix clan died, just because the strong cultivators of the fire shrine wanted to kill Daimon from the World Clan? Was it worth it? A gigantic great demon halberd of desolation streaked across the sky. When all the destructive strength dispersed, demon chi rose up. Lin Feng raised his head and stared at the saints of the fire shrine icily. Not bad. It's such a pity that you're from the World Clan though, said the strong cultivator next to Beishan Wang, sighing. It was such a pity this guy was from the World Clan. They were enemies with the fire shrine, and he had killed people whose family name was Cheong. Such a genius was going to die. Lin Feng smiled coldly. Did they think they were going to kill him now? I think it's even worse to be from the fire shrine. So many people from the fire shrine died today. You think it's awesome to be from the fire shrine? Replied Lin Feng mockingly. His interlocutor remained composed and replied, their deaths will lead to your death, and the destruction of the World Clan. How arrogant, said a voice at that moment. The strong cultivators of the fire shrine were startled and spun around. They saw someone arrive slowly. His chi was terrifying and filled the air. The strong cultivators of the fire shrine were stupefied. The atmosphere around the new arrival seemed to be sealed. World strength. The Shriner's expressions changed suddenly. Someone from the World Clan had come? Did they think they could compete with the fire shrine? The air hummed and wavered. Strong cultivators arrived out of nowhere. The expressions of the Fire Shrine's members changed drastically, frowning and staring at all those people. Lin Feng was astonished too. Those people were from the World Clan? Since when did the World Clan have so many saints? How strong is the World Clan? Last time, when I killed Cheongjio Tian, I was in danger, and the World Clan didn't send anyone. Now they're showing their real strength, because the Fire Shrine is threatening me. Lin Feng was astonished. He hadn't thought the World Clan had become so strong. How strong is the World Clan? One of the Fire Shriners asked icily. You really consider yourselves unexcelled in the world? You despise the World Clan, said a strong cultivator flatly. The members of the Fire Shrine had to admit that it was the truth. So what do you intend to do now? Asked the one next to Bei Shanwang coldly. The Fire Shrine said they wanted to destroy the World Clan. What do you think we want to do? The members of the Fire Shrine were even more astonished. Was the World Clan saying they wanted to destroy the Fire Shrine? The World Clan dares act that arrogantly? We have to be intransigent. You just said you wanted to destroy the World Clan. What should we do? TSK, said the strong cultivator of the World Clan, smiling coldly. Even if the World Clan gets destroyed, you guys won't see it. The World Saints moved towards the Fire Saints together. Their world strength blotted out the sky. The Fire Saints were stupefied. One of them looked at Lin Feng and blurted out said, "Capture him." The air hummed. All the saints of the Fire Shrine threw themselves at Lin Feng. They wanted to capture him to threaten the World Clan. How cold! Lin Feng's great demon halberd of desolation swept out, and a demon Dao trail appeared in the sky. A terrifying fire hand imprint bombarded his demon strength and destroyed it. The Fire Saints flashed towards him as fast as lightning. Stay here, said the Fire Saints. Celestial Dao surrounded Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't escape anymore. Be careful. World lights encircled the Fire Saints. The strong cultivators of the World Clan flashed in and surrounded those people. But the members of the Fire Shrine were very fast. Go in. A cage of darkness emerged from Lin Feng's eyes, and the Fire Saints ended up in a cage. But they destroyed it instantly. Die! A light beam dashed to the skies. Lin Feng released empty space and wind strength. Then he condensed it in his great demon halberd of desolation, and then his weapon hacked towards Bei Shanwang. Piss off! Shouted Bei Shanwang furiously. A shield appeared. He wanted to block Lin Feng's attack, while at the same time, fire dragons appeared in his eyes. Lin Feng's soul shook and fire energies appeared inside him. A terrifying destructive strength surrounded Lin Feng. Bei Shanwang's fellow disciples were too strong. Great empty space technique. Lin Feng released empty space strength, and threw his great demon halberd of desolation, at the same time towards Bei Shanwang's shield. Bei Shanwang moved back, but someone appeared just above him, attacking him from above. The great demon halberd of desolation pierced through his body, and his face went blank. Chapter 2360. Enigmatic and unfathomable Bei Shanwang was attacked by a strong cultivator of the World Clan and Lin Feng together, and died. But Lin Feng was still in danger. He recalled his great demon halberd of desolation, and two more cultivators of the Fire Shrine attacked him. He used his great demon halberd of desolation again, but they destroyed the attack quickly. Lin Feng was already coughing blood as he was attacked repeatedly. His face turned deathly pale. If he hadn't had an immortal body, he would have died instantly. The saints of the World Clan arrived close enough to attack, their world lights surrounding the Fire Saints. The latter ended up in another world. The strong cultivators of the World Clan have a similar strength to mine. They use their worlds to deal with opponents. I can't even see anything with my godly awareness. He thought, impressed. The saints of the World Clan had completely disappeared into the world lights, which were flaring and surging. The battles inside were probably crazy. Come back! Shouted Lin Feng to the great demon halberd of desolation. The great demon halberd of desolation came back into his hand. There were world lights where Bei Shanwang was a minute before. So Lin Feng jumped into that ancient world. A world in a world. Lin Feng raised his head. It was a world in a strong cultivator's world, and they were fighting inside. The strong cultivators of the World Clan were incredible. Lin Feng didn't really understand them, but it seemed the strongest cultivator of the group of people from the World Clan had nothing to do. He was just blocking the members of the Fire Shrine. Seems like I underestimated the World Clan, he mused. No wonder that they had let Lin Feng walk around in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds as a member of the World Clan. They had been prepared already. The battle lasted for a long time before finally, the world lights flared a last time, dispersed, and the saints of the World Clan reappeared. Daimon, let's go, said a strong cultivator of the World Clan. World lights surrounded Lin Feng, and they disappeared. Inside the other world, Lin Feng asked, "Did you kill all the saints of the Fire Shrine?" "Yes, we avoided killing just one or two. We killed them all at the same time. That way, when the Fire Shrine found out about it, it was already too late to come," replied the saint. Lin Feng was impressed. What a great strategy and result. It was difficult to kill everyone at the same time. The strong cultivators of the World Clan were enigmatic and unfathomable. "But the Fire Shrine will know the World Clan killed their people, right?" asked Lin Feng. "The issue is solved. Our strength resides in our hiding abilities. If we want to hide, even shrines can't find us," said the saint with a confident smile. Lin Feng agreed. World strength was incredible. They could indeed hide easily. Before they even arrived, they had already gotten ready to kill saints. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to plan everything. "The World Clan hid for such a long time. I didn't think you'd be so well prepared." Lin Feng grinned. Someone behind smiled at Lin Feng and said, "The World Clan had been hiding for such a long time. But what about the cultivators of the World Clan? Maybe they were in the outside world, but didn't say they were from the World Clan." Lin Feng nodded. "Maybe. Maybe you are famous. Maybe if you told people your names, they'd know you. But nobody understands the details, and nobody knows your real social status. They just consider you members of the World Clan. The World Clan has been waiting for an opportunity for such a long time. I initially wanted to wait for Lang Yi to become strong enough, but then you showed up, so we didn't wait for him. And it's better. This way, he doesn't have so much pressure. He'll need more time to become like us and catch up." What happened in the Void Phoenix clan spread throughout the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds quickly. People used jade talismans to communicate, so the news spread quickly. In a few days, many people received messages about it. It had been a very long time since something like that had happened in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. The Fire Shrine had lost a dozen saints, including 4 low-level saints. It was a disaster for them. Some people started casting greedy eyes on the Void Phoenix clan, since their leader had been killed. And surprisingly, all of this had happened because of a young man who had shown up a few years before. Daimon from the World Clan. Back then, he had defeated Cheonghaya by the Mojia's battle stage. A few years had passed, and then he had become much stronger than Cheonghaya. Some people also said that he could kill half-saints alone, because he wasn't only a saint, he was also a great deployment master. The Fire Shrine was furious. They sent some high-level saints to the World Clan, but the World Clan had vanished. They were prepared, and the Fire Shrine couldn't find them anymore. This time, not only the Fire Shrine was astonished, but the other shrines too. In a hall of the Ice and Snow Shrine, someone wearing a snow robe said to someone else, "What do you think about the World Clan?" The Fire Shrine and the others forgot how the World Clan disappeared back then during their golden age. They all despised the World Clan, and the consequences were tragic. So many years have passed, people from that era have all died. So people don't know how strong the World Clan was during the Golden Era. The Fire Shrine seems to have completely forgotten about it, said the other one, laughing. So many years had passed, and the World Clan was starting to take their revenge. They wanted to destroy the Fire Shrine someday too. I don't think the World Clan can be that strong. They might be able to compete with some shrines, but they can't destroy a shrine, someone countered. Who knows? Everything is possible in this world. Daimon was a big surprise. Besides, there are geniuses in every generation, including the World Clan. 1,000 years ago, where did that demon go? The mysterious 3 lives? Who was he? How strong was he? asked another strong cultivator in a snow robe casually. Everybody remained silent and nodded. Anything was possible in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds. I have the feeling that the imperial court won't be calm for much longer, murmured a cultivator in a snowy robe. The destiny wheel rotated. The forbidden person disappeared. Chu Chunxiu is in the supreme animal world. Daimon went to the supreme ancient pit of hell, came out alive and obtained the great demon halberd of desolation. The world clan reappeared. How much longer will the continent be calm? The world clan didn't know about what was going on there. They were in a dimly discernible mountain range surrounded by fog. It was a world in a world. The whole world clan had moved there. The imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds was boundless. They had just chosen a random place. It was so vast, even the shrines couldn't find them easily. Lin Feng was in a world within a world. Next to him were 2 beautiful women, Jing and Qing Feng. Jing knew that Daimon was Lin Feng now, and was astonished. No wonder that Qing Feng was drawn to him, he was so strong. How is the Void Phoenix clan now? Asked Jing. It was her clan. Even if they were cruel to her, she would miss them. The leader has been killed, many people died. But I released your father. The Void Phoenix clan is going to go through many hardships. The fire shrine might take control over it, replied Lin Feng. Jing remained silent. Indeed, the Void Phoenix clan had accepted an alliance with a shrine. It was a mistake. Daimon, said someone at that moment. Lin Feng turned around. This time, the fire shrine won't let the world clan off. Do you intend to hide again? Asked Lin Feng. The other smiled and shook his head. No, we came out, and we won't continue hiding. When Lin Feng saw that smile, his heart twitched. He was amazed. How strong was the world clan? And he didn't understand. If the world clan could really compete with the shrines, why did they do things slowly? Why did they do things that way at all? Chapter 2361. Godly Weapon Master. On that day, a guest came to the World Clan, and the old man of the World Clan brought him to see Lin Feng. That young man was wearing clean white clothes with complex patterns that looked like constellations. His chi made him look extraordinary. I've heard that Daimon has slaughtered saints from the fire shrine recently. You must be Daimon. The young man smiled at Lin Feng. Without waiting for the old man to introduce them, he looked like a respected scholar. I didn't slaughter saints. I just managed to kill some people who had just become saints. And it wasn't easy. Who are you? Asked Lin Feng. He was very curious. Behind that young man were some of the saints from the World Clan, who had helped him kill the remaining saints of the fire shrine. They seemed to respect the young man a lot, which made Lin Feng even more curious. Daimon, you've spent some time in the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds already. You must have heard about His Holiness Aotian. The old man of the World Clan smiled. Lin Feng was startled. He had read many books in the Fortune Shrine, and had obviously read about His Holiness Aotian. This person had really reached the very, very top of cultivation. He was really a peerless saint, a king of kings, a sage of sages. But he didn't like wealth and fame, and he rarely appeared in the continent of the 9 clouds. If he wanted to, he could easily create a shrine. And His Holiness Aotian had a nickname, the Godly Weapon Master. He was the only person in the whole world called that. He was the best weapon maker in the world. The Godly Weapon Master? Murmured Lin Feng, looking at the old man. Indeed, His Holiness Aotian, the Godly Weapon Master, the old man beamed. The young man said to Lin Feng, Master Aotian has 3 main disciples. They're all weapon makers and they're really good at it. They can make incredible and powerful high-level saints' weapons. This young man is Weapon Master Kong's disciple Huai. Weapon Master Kong is one of Master Aotian's 3 disciples. Weapon Master Kong. Lin Feng had heard that name before. Kong had an extremely advanced knowledge of empty space strength. He could make incredible saints' weapons using empty space strength. His Holiness Aotian, the Godly Weapon Master, was almost considered a god, and his disciples had received all his teachings. They also didn't appear often in the outside world. They all had an incredible prestige and influence, and could easily create an influential group. But the Godly Weapon Master didn't want to. He preferred focusing on weapons. He wanted to surpass himself all the time and create even more powerful weapons. Lin Feng was surprised. What was this young man doing here? If he was here in the World Clan today, it proved one thing. The World Clan had never really disappeared. Their members had just been traveling the world with different identities, not as members of the World Clan. I've heard great things of the godly weapon master. If I have the opportunity, I'd love to meet him in person, said Lin Feng, express his respect. But Huai shook his head and smiled wryly. To tell you the truth, even I, as one of his disciple, I've only seen him once. Seeing him is almost impossible. The godly weapon master wants to make the most powerful weapons in the world, so he is in constant need of the best materials in the world, and is constantly traveling. Seeing him is not easy, said the Saint of the World Clan. Weapon Master Kong had Huai come to the World Clan to bring us weapons. It's already an incredible honor. You're too polite. And I'm just doing as my master asked me, Huai replied calmly. Even though he was a saint and had an extraordinary social status, he wasn't proud and arrogant at all, but rather easygoing. The godly weapon master and all his disciples are very reliable. Everybody knows that, said the Saint of the World Clan. That was also one of the reasons why they had so much prestige and influence, because many people ordered Saint's weapons from them. It was mutually beneficial. When doing business, being reliable was essential. Therefore, even the most talented people in the world often gave the godly weapon master their best materials as gifts. In return, he made weapons for them. They didn't have to worry about him being greedy or anything. Come, let's walk and chat at the same time. The group of people began a tour of the World Clan. Huai said to Lin Feng, Daimon, I've heard that when you killed the saints of the Fire Shrine, you used some incredible deployment spells. You must be a great deployment master already. There are many extremely strong cultivators in the world, but there are very few great deployment masters, and deployment spells are necessary to make weapons. I'm sure you could make great weapons. I am not a weapon maker. If I tried, it would have a negative impact on my cultivation, Lin Feng demurred. The only time I met my teacher's teacher, he said that on the path of cultivation, everything has the same root, and if you can return to the source, then you can do anything. Unfortunately, I'm not smart enough. I didn't manage to grasp what he meant. Nobody can compete with the godly weapon master in the world. He's a peerless cultivator, and incredibly strong, sighed the Saint of the World Clan. I suppose he means that weapon fabrication and cultivation are the same thing. Unfortunately, I am not talented enough. Maybe, said Huai smiled. At that moment, the ground started trembling, as if an incredible strength was destroying the sky. The Saints of the World Clan raised their heads, not surprised at all. The members of the Fire Shrine are faster than we thought. Fire Shrine, repeated Lin Feng. The World Clan has incredible hiding abilities. How did the Fire Shrine find us? If we didn't want them to find us, we would have naturally hidden better, said the Saint, smiling meaningfully. Lin Feng was surprised. The World Clan had done that on purpose. Let's go. It's perfect timing anyway. The Saint's weapons Huai brought us today were precisely in prediction of the Fire Shrine's arrival. We'll try them out, said the Saint of the World Clan. Fissures appeared in the sky. A group of people passed through and arrived in the foggy and misty world of mountains. The Saints of the Fire Shrine released a terrifying chi, one of them prominently. It was like he could burn the whole world within seconds with the power of his mind. The members of the Fire Shrine were shocked to see there was a Saint of the World Clan in front of them, looking quite calm. He was holding an empty space picture scroll. It seemed that the empty space picture scroll contained a world, with mountains and rivers inside. The most startling thing was that there was a strong cultivator inside, trying to destroy that world. What kind of weapon is that? Asked a strong cultivator of the Fire Shrine coldly. You want to have a look? The Saint of the World Clan smiled. He released world lights which surrounded him. He immediately disappeared, as mountains and rivers appeared and turned into a world. Back! Shouted the intruders explosively. However, the Saint of the World Clan was standing at the top of a mountain and asked, Where do you want to go? The area finished turning into a world, and world strength spread out quickly. The world turned into a gigantic black hole. The strong cultivators of the fire shrine kept fleeing, but even with their speed, they could not escape, they could only tread space. "Go in," said the Saint of the World clan coldly. World lights surrounded that cultivator. He was struggling to escape, but he was already in that picture scroll. He didn't know he was inside that terrifying saint's weapon already. "Let's go," said the other members of the fire shrine. They all released fireballs. "Since you came here, why would you want to leave?" asked the Saint of the World clan with a cold smile. The world stretched across the sky and moved towards them faster than they could run. The strong cultivators of the fire shrine all pulled a long face. The World clan is already so strong, and they have such terrifying saint's weapons. How fearsome, thought that saint. He continued running away, while releasing fire strength around him. His fire was black and raged into the distance, and he finally managed to break free of the world lights. The others wanted to escape, but the Saint of the World clan wasn't going to let them go, as his hand descended from the sky. He was a saint, he was incredibly strong. The intruders couldn't do anything but let go and let themselves get absorbed by the world of the saint's weapon. Chapter 2362. Three great disciples. The members of the fire shrine had come, and once again, it was a tragedy for them. Only one person managed to escape, a terrifyingly strong high-level saint. A breach slowly appeared in the world in front of him, and the Saint of the Fire Shrine didn't dare to get close. He kept releasing fire strength. What a terrifying saint's weapon! He was staring at the world. That saint's weapon was dreadful, especially when a high-level saint used its full power. The Fire Shrine had lost once again. Their defeats were getting more and more tragic. Not many people from the Fire Shrine could actually compete with such a terrifying enemy. Besides, was he the strongest cultivator of the World Clan? The World Clan had disappeared for so long. How come they were so strong? "What do you intend to do with them?" demanded the Saint of the Fire Shrine, staring at the weapon. The saints were still attacking. They didn't know they were in another world. "So this time, I just wanted to tell the Fire Shrine that even if you're strong and are considered extremely strong, you keep provoking the World Clan. You don't respect us, you even despise us. But can you destroy us?" The Saint of the World Clan calmly. "Your shrine lost some saints, you lost face, you can't forget about it. So now you want to destroy us. But let me tell you, if the Fire Shrine continues trying to destroy the World Clan, they'll just bring about their own destruction. I'm going to send those people back, but I hope that in the future, you'll remember that." The Saint of the World Clan waved his hand, and suddenly, he flung the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine, who were stuck in the weapons world, away. They were all stunned, but as soon as they came out, they released a terrifying fire, turning the sky red. "Stop!" shouted the high-level saint sharply. He glanced at them and said, "You're shameless. Let's go back." The saints all pulled a long face. They were all incredible saints. The World Clan had just humiliated and captured them. Now they had to understand that if they continued provoking the World Clan, things would get worse. "I hope we'll meet again," said the high-level saint to the Saint of the World Clan. He rolled up his sleeves, and the Fire Shriners turned around and left. Lin Feng watched all that. Only a short time passed. Among the saints of the World Clan who were next to him, one of them stepped forwards and smiled. "Teacher, will the Fire Shrine continue provoking us after what happened today?" "I don't know," said the saint, shaking his head. "However, I am convinced that unless they know how strong the World Clan really is, they won't try anything risky. They already lost twice, they won't lose thrice. Indeed, they won't offend us easily, I guess. We relied on saints' weapons this time." "Hua Yi, please tell Weapon Master Kong that we're very grateful," said the saint, smiling at Hua Yi. He was very satisfied with that saint weapon. "We used your soul and vitality to make that weapon. That's why it's perfect for you. Besides, you also used World Dao, so the effects are perfect. Anyways, no need to mention it again," replied Hua Yi affably. "Haha, alright, thank you. Also, tell him that when he makes the sword, we'll come personally as a sign of gratitude. No need for you to come to us." It's all right, he doesn't like agitation, he prefers tranquility. I'll tell you when we have finished, said Huai. No. Weapon Master Bing is a perfectionist. Only weapons can make him happy. I remember last time, when your teacher and I went to see his friend, I waited there for 6 months before he talked to me. He was too busy making a weapon, said the high-level saint of the World Clan. Everybody understood he admired Weapon Master Bing. You know how he is. My teacher is the same. Was my teacher annoyed? Said Huai. The saint grinned. Indeed, your teacher was angry for a long time. Haha, my teacher mentioned it a few days ago again in front of his friend, said Huai, shaking his head. All right, we're good for now. I'll go back and tell my teacher everything. You should stay in the World Clan for a few days. We're happy to have you around. It's all right. I don't know what kind of schedule my teacher prepared for me, so I better go back, demurred Huai. All right, next time then, conceded the saint of the World Clan politely. Yes, we shall meet again soon, said Huai with a wave. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, Brother Daimon, when my teacher's colleague makes the weapon, you'll come too. If I can, I will, Lin Feng agreed. Huai rose up in the air and departed. The high-level saint watched him leave and whispered, The godly weapon master's grand disciples are all so free and unrestrained. Master, is Weapon Master Bing going to make weapons in front of everybody? Lin Feng asked. That was what he had just heard. Weapon Master Bing was one of the godly weapon master's disciples. And if he made weapons in public, many people would want to attend. Weapon Master Bing is the weakest of the 3 disciples, but he's also the most attentive one. He only thinks about weapons in life. He is very focused and meticulous, a perfectionist. He prefers making swords, spears, and halberds above all sharp weapons. Weapon Master Kong is the 2nd elder. He controls empty space energy. He's very strong. The 3rd one is Weapon Master Ling. He chose the path of spirituality. He's the most talented of the 3. Initially, the godly weapon master just wanted 2 disciples. But after having recruited Weapon Master Bing and Weapon Master Kong, he realized that Weapon Master Ling was extraordinarily talented, so he recruited him as well. At the top of the hierarchy, it's not a secret that he's going to make weapons in public. People from the lower tiers of society will never know about it though. Lin Feng nodded. He had heard of the 3 disciples too. Weapon Master Bing was an insane weapon maker indeed. His spears were extremely sharp and quick. He was a perfectionist, and couldn't stand it if his weapons had a single flaw. Many people had to be perfectionists to reach such levels. I'm a bit surprised, mused Lin Feng. He didn't know about it, because he wasn't high enough in terms of social status. Very few people knew about it in the continent of the 9 clouds. He has his own reasons. We'll see. In the world, there are many strong cultivators, and not just enemies, there are friends too, so it makes life a bit easier, said the high-level saint to Lin Feng. Indeed, Lin Feng had a forbidden body. The shrines couldn't learn about that. Even though the shrines have a very high social status in this world, it doesn't mean that they're invincible, and that they can do whatever they want. They're also cautious. There are some people they don't dare offend. If you could appear in public with the people the shrines don't dare offend, then they wouldn't dare do anything to you either. I understand, Lin Feng nodded. The saint was teaching him the social codes of the highest parts of society, and the godly weapon master was probably someone the shrines all feared. Chapter 2363. Provocation. As the World Clan expected, the fire shrine calmed down. The different groups of the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds finally realized that the World Clan was truly rising again. They had fought a few times and amazed everyone, but the World Clan remained indifferent, as if their achievements were normal. 2 people left the World Clan and traveled east. In the eastern part of the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds, there was a city called Qingming City. It stood alone in a boundless area, and even though their territory was gigantic, there wasn't many people there, and few people traveled there. However, many strong cultivators of the imperial court of the continent of the 9 clouds admired the city, because there was a very famous person there, Weapon Master Bing, the godly weapon master's disciple. Weapon Master Bing was the symbol of that city. Many people were traveling to Qingming City. They were all extremely strong and extraordinary. They wanted to see Weapon Master Bing fabricate saints' weapons. When ordinary weapon makers made weapons, people weren't interested in watching. But Weapon Master Bing was the godly weapon master's disciple. He was very famous. He had made a few famous weapons: Supreme Upek Kasayapa, Celestial Mithya, and so on. They were all famous and terrifying cultivators wielded them. He was a truly legendary weapon maker. In the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds, many high-level saints ordered weapons from him. The godly weapon master's 3 disciples were all experts in their field, at the very top. There was a dimly discernible qi in one of Qingming City's districts. There were many restaurants, tea houses, and bars here, however it was very calm. This place was near the Weapon Master Bing's territory. Lin Feng was seated in a tea house with the high-level saint of the World Clan Guzhu. Only Guzhu and Lin Feng had come from the World Clan. Lin Feng glanced around, noting everybody around looked extraordinary. Those people usually never appeared in the outside world. When seeing them, one wouldn't know who they were, but when hearing their names, one knew. For example, Guzhu, he wasn't unknown in the imperial court of the continent of the Nine Clouds. He was actually very famous. Many people had heard of Mr. Guzhu Shui, but very few people had seen him. Guzhu had been famous for a long time in the continent of the Nine Clouds, but because he hadn't appeared for a long time, many people didn't recognize him anymore. Even when he fought against the strong cultivators of the Fire Shrine, they didn't recognize him. "Brother Gu," someone called out. Lin Feng and Guzhu turned around and saw a few people. The leader of the group was wearing a robe similar to the one Hua Yi was wearing when he paid them a visit. Next to him was a sword cultivator, and Hua Yi was there too. "Brother Kong," responded Guzhu, standing up and smiling. This was Weapon Master Kong, the godly weapon master's second disciple. In the distance, many people put their teacups down and stood up as a sign of respect. "No need to be so polite, everybody. I also came to watch my fellow disciple today. Make yourself at home," said Weapon Master Kong to the crowd. Being able to see Weapon Master Bing and Weapon Master Kong today is an incredible honor, spoke up someone, smiling before sitting down again. Lin Feng had the biggest smile when he saw the crowd. This weapon maker was incredible. Weapon Master Kong sat down next to Guzhu and smiled. "I don't know what he wants to do this. Why he invited people to come and watch. Weapon Master Bing must have an idea," Guzhu smiled. Then, he raised his head and looked at the sword cultivator next to Weapon Master Kong. He smiled and said, "If I'm not mistaken, this must be Master Kasayapa's disciple. Indeed, Kasayapa's descendant. Not many people know about Brother Tianrua. He seldom appears in the outside world," confirmed Weapon Master Kong. Lin Feng was astonished. That sword cultivator was extremely young, and Weapon Master Kong called him brother. It meant that he had a social status equivalent to Guzhu's. Of course, he looked young, but he might be thousands of years old. Kasayapa's sword. Lin Feng suddenly remembered the ancient remains in Qi Tian Holy Town. He had found Qin Shan there back then. "Master Tianrua, I've heard of a Kasayapa's sword in dark clouds. Is it related to you?" asked Lin Feng. He was curious. "That was my elder fellow disciple. I've never seen him, but our teacher said he was incredible, a very good sword cultivator. Unfortunately, he didn't do things properly. He left, he wanted to create his own group, and in the end he died abroad." When Lin Feng heard that reply, he was astonished. It meant that the real Kasayapa was their teacher, and was extremely old. It also meant that Weapon Master Bing knew him a long time before since he had made a sword for him. It also meant that Weapon Master Bing was very old. "Your teacher, Old Master Kasayapa, didn't send anyone to investigate his death?" asked Lin Feng. "Why would he? Everybody can choose their own path. They just have to bear the responsibilities," replied Tianrua Jian. Lin Feng sighed. At such cultivation levels, people were different. "How lively. So many strong cultivators," said someone at that moment. Lin Feng was stupefied. He slowly turned around and frowned. A few people had arrived. One of them was a young man who looked valiant and heroic. His chi was extraordinary. Zhetian. Lin Feng was astonished. Zhetian was there in Qingming City. He was there to watch Weapon Master Bing. That little boy is becoming incredibly strong really quickly. He's already a Saint Emperor. Wow, thought Lin Feng. He was satisfied though. Zhetian was progressing faster than he had. Chapter 2364. Revelation. The person next to Zhetian grunted coldly and said, "Your Excellency, you're going a bit too far. It's not your territory here." "Watch your words," said that person coldly. A terrifying saint's strength oppressed Zhetian, which made him groan. He released chi to protect himself, a golden armor appearing around him. That saint released empty space strength to surround Zhetian. Zhetian was stupefied. The strength took his away very quickly. The two saints with Zhetian turned around and said, "Zhetian, since they don't welcome you, you can leave." "All right," said Lin Zhetian, nodding. Then he left quickly. He wasn't strong enough to be there, and he knew it. "Go," said that person, releasing celestial Tao, a hand descending from the sky. Zhetian pulled a long face. He hadn't thought a saint would bully him like this. Zhetian condensed cosmic energies, and a dazzling pure light appeared in his hand and streaked across the sky, ending in an explosion. The gigantic empty space hand broke apart and bombarded Zhetian. He crashed onto the ground and coughed up blood, but he was still standing steadily. He was just a celestial emperor, but he has a particular strength which makes him look like a saint emperor. "Not bad at all, that young man," murmured Weapon Master Kong. "Even I thought he was a saint emperor. But even if he isn't, he resisted a saint's attack. Impressive. He's definitely as strong as a saint emperor." Lin Feng nodded. He didn't intervene because he wanted to see how strong his son was. But Zhetian had to be quite strong anyway. He was Lin Feng's child, after all. At that moment, the saint who had just attacked walked towards Zhetian, looking at him coldly. Zhetian raised his head and looked back at him in a cold way. "It's Weapon Master Bing's territory here, so I can't kill you. But since you dare defend me, I will cripple your cultivation," said the man coldly. Lin Feng stood up and walked towards Zhetian, glancing at the two saints who had come with Zhetian. They acted as if all this had nothing to do with them, which infuriated him. "Since you know that it's Weapon Master Bing's territory here, why do you provoke people who didn't do anything to you? Why do you want to cripple his cultivation?" Lin Feng interjected calmly. The saint glanced at him and smiled thinly. "Daimon from the World Clan, all this has nothing to do with you. Don't get involved." "I don't think Weapon Master Bing likes being disturbed," said Lin Feng, ignoring him. "I told you it has nothing to do with you," repeated that guy. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly turned pitch black. A cage appeared, and that saint appeared inside. "Die," said Lin Feng. A destructive death celestial Tao emerged from the cage of darkness. The saint suddenly felt confused and panic-stricken. Why was Daimon so aggressive? Daimon was trying to kill him. "Stop," shouted a few people coldly. A few figures flickered. Empty space chi surrounded Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng took a step forwards. A pitch-black vortex appeared. Waves swept out and carried everything away. Lin Feng detonated the vortex and explosions rent the air. The saint inside the cage exploded, but his soul was allowed to survive. Arg! That saint's body had been easily destroyed, and he was furious. But Lin Feng said calmly, "Since you don't care about disturbing Weapon Master Bing's cultivation, I am convinced nobody minds me getting involved." Lin Feng saw some people moving towards him. Many saints surrounded Lin Feng. Lin Feng frowned. Those who had come with Zhetian smiled coldly. Lin Feng had a bad premonition. He heard one of the people who encircled him say, "As expected, like father, like son. Us members of the Fire Shrine knew it." Lin Feng was astonished. The man then said, "Lin Feng, you're great at hiding and you progressed very quickly." Lin Feng. Many people looked astonished and excited. Even if those people were saints, they had all heard about Lin Feng. Because back then, the Fire Shrine was looking for him everywhere since people suspected that he was a forbidden person. But they were still stunned. Lin Feng was Daimon from the World Clan? So he was the one who had finished first at the meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds back then? To ordinary people, a long time had passed since the meeting of the continent of the Nine Clouds. For these saints, it felt like a few seconds only. Now that guy had already transcended worldliness and attained holiness? He was the one who had slaughtered saints in the Void Phoenix clan. How fearsome. Father. Zhetian looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's chi changed. His face changed as he reverted back to Lin Feng. The shrines had joined hands to attack Zhetian, which meant they had already guessed the truth. Lin Feng said to Zhetian, Zhetian, people's minds are unfathomable. In the future, be careful before trusting people. I understand, Father. Zhetian nodded. Then, he looked at the people with whom he had come and said, You got close to me on purpose to use me. Who are you? Empty Space Shrine, said one of them coldly. Zhetian said coldly, You're from a shrine and you resort to such despicable methods? If he hadn't been my father, you would have crippled my cultivation groundlessly? Don't you have families? You're not qualified to speak with me, said one of them. Then, he looked at Gu Zhu and said, The World Clan and Lin Feng have established connections. We don't mind. We are also willing to be friends with the World Clan and forget our tensions. However, you can't get involved in Lin Feng and the Fire Shrine's issues. He feared Gu Zhu, especially since Weapon Master Kong was next to Gu Zhu at that moment. Gu Zhu looked at Weapon Master Kong. Weapon Master Kong said indifferently, You can do whatever you wish outside, but here is my fellow disciples' cultivation territory. We will not tolerate such behavior here. So please stop for now. What you do outside has nothing to do with me. The members of the shrines were stunned. Weapon Master Kong didn't give them any room to maneuver by saying that. They had to stop now and give him face. Weapon Master Kong, the issue with Lin Feng is of utter importance. Please allow us some latitude, said a strong cultivator. Weapon Master Kong frowned and said, You didn't understand what I just said? That person looked angry and said, Since it's that way, we'll stop for now. When Weapon Master Bing is done making the weapon, we'll take care of him. They all left and went to different places in town. They didn't intend to let Lin Feng off, so they were watching the exits. Both Lin Feng and Daimon were supposed to die. In the end they were one person, even better. It'd be easier to kill him. Lin Feng and Zhetian walked back to Weapon Master Kong. Lin Feng nodded at Weapon Master Kong and said, Thank you very much, Master. I don't know many people in the continent of the Nine Clouds, especially younger people. But I've heard about Lin Feng and Daimon. I never thought you were the same person, and your son is surprisingly strong. Maybe you will both become very powerful and influential in the continent of the Nine Clouds, said Weapon Master Kong. I really don't deserve so much praise, Master. It's just the truth, said Weapon Master Kong, shaking his head. Tian Ruojian spoke up. Indeed, it's very possible. I'm sure you have a forbidden body now, so it's not surprising that everybody wants to kill you. You're in danger. Tian Ruojian talked straightforwardly. Lin Feng really was in danger. The shrines wanted to kill him. I understand, Lin Feng nodded. Now that the shrines had recognized him, he was really in danger. Even with the World Clan, he had too many enemies. You should stay here for a while. Weapon Master Kong smiled. Lin Feng was startled at the offer. He looked at Weapon Master Kong's smile and nodded. Weapon Master Kong wanted to help him. Chapter 2365. Gathering of strong cultivators. Lin Feng and Weapon Master Kong were together. The shrines couldn't attack him, but they didn't intend to let him leave alive. Everybody was extraordinary there. They knew that if Lin Feng was a forbidden person, he could pose a threat to them. He would definitely destroy some shrines. More and more people arrived and sat down calmly. They just chatted. At that moment in the distance a figure appeared. The members of a specific shrine all stood up and looked at that person respectfully. Weapon Master Kong slowly turned around and looked at that person. That person looked at them and smiled. Weapon Master Kong, Tian Ruojian, Gu Zhu, Wu Ming. Weapon Master Kong and the others seemed surprised. The Empty Space Shrine had made him come personally. Wu Ming from the Empty Space Shrine. repeated many people around. They were all astonished, their hearts pounding. There were so many extremely strong people here. Weapon Master Kong, Wu Ming, and Tianrua Jian were very famous among saints. People who weren't saints never had the opportunity to see them. Wu Ming smiled at those people and nodded. He looked at Lin Feng and smiled sharply. Back then, when all the shrines wanted to kill you, they should have done it. Trying to see if you were determined, if you were really the forbidden person, etc. is boring. Killing you directly would have been much easier. Now it's getting more and more complicated. Lin Feng was grim. This man was referring to the first time when they had surrounded the Fortune Shrine. The Fire Shrine's leader could have easily killed him back then. But he hadn't, because the leader of the Fortune Shrine had said that he would kill their geniuses too. So at that moment, the shrines had decided to establish a strategy first. Of course, if the leader of the Fire Shrine had known that Lin Feng would become so strong so quickly, he would have done much more to deal with Lin Feng earlier. He would have put the lives of the Fire Shrine's geniuses at stake, without hesitation, to get rid of Lin Feng. Now Lin Feng was a genius difficult to get rid of. He was a saint, and he was started to make connections at that level. The geniuses the Fire Shrine could have been sacrificed to get rid of Lin Feng were much weaker than him. So they would have been worth sacrificing. Wu Ming, you better not act blindly without thinking, said Guzhu. His figure flickered, and he was in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng was startled. Guzhu was cautious. He had anticipated something could happen. If Wu Ming was as strong as Guzhu, he could indeed kill Lin Feng easily. Guzhu, you know I want to kill him, and nobody can prevent me from doing so, said Wu Ming in a cold and detached way. He took another step forward, but at that moment, sword strength suddenly surrounded him. Wu Ming looked over at Tianrua Jian, who was still seated there. Rua Jian said icily, "We're near Weapon Master Bing's cultivation territory. Weapon Master Bing doesn't want to be disturbed. He was disturbed a moment ago. It's not going to happen a second time." Tianrua Jian's teacher was the old Kasayapa. Kasayapa and Weapon Master Bing used to have excellent relations, as he had made Kasayapa's weapons. Many years had passed and Kasayapa had become a peerless saint. Weapon Master Bing was a high-level saint and focused on weapon fabrication. But even if it was that way, Tianrua Jian was a high-level saint, and had an immense respect for him. He even called him master. When Weapon Master Bing became famous, many of the people who were present here weren't even born, including him. Weapon Master Bing had been stuck at that cultivation level for a very long time already. Wu Ming looked at Tianrua Jian and released energy that filled the air. But at the same time, his energies were being oppressed by Tianrua Jian's sword energies. The atmosphere became oppressive. Suddenly, the ground shook and a terrifying fire intent filled the air as a figure descended from the sky. Qiong Lin. Everybody looked at Qiong Lin. He was from the Fire Shrine. Initially, those people had come to watch Weapon Master Bing make a sword. They hadn't thought the situation would change because of Lin Feng's presence. Even if you're Kasayapa's disciple, you can't act arrogantly in front of Shrine's members, stated Qiong Lin indifferently. Even though he was releasing fire strength, his voice sounded ice-cold. Tianrua Jian didn't say anything. He put his hand on the handle of his sword. Actions were more important than words. The Fire Shrine continues acting that arrogantly? Someone laughed. That person appeared halfway up in the air. Qiong Lin and the others didn't seem surprised. The diviner. Lin Feng had met the diviner in the small world long ago. The diviner had given Lin Feng the impression he was enigmatic and unfathomable. He had never shown how strong he was. But if he was as strong as Gu Zhu and the others back then, he would have probably arrived much faster when the Fire Shrine was chasing him. However, when Qiong Lin and the others saw him, Lin Feng noticed, from their facial expressions, that they were very cautious in his presence. Maradeva, your real body is done practicing cultivation? You're not qualified to stand before me. Am I wrong? Said Qiong Lin indifferently. Lin Feng was astonished. Real body? Had the diviner practiced a cloning technique as well? Had Lin Feng always met the diviner's clones? What do you think? Asked the diviner calmly. Qiong Lin frowned and stared at him, as if he were trying to see through him. Interesting. Wait until Weapon Master Bing is done making the weapon. We'll check that out, said Wu Ming indifferently. He looked at Lin Feng again, who had the impression he was going to be absorbed into an empty space. Indeed, the atmosphere was dividing. His body was being ripped apart as well. Sword strength suddenly filled the air. Come on, I was just joking, said Wu Ming, bursting into laughter. Then, he turned around and glanced at the members of the empty space shrine. He walked towards them and sat down as if nothing had happened. Lin Feng felt normal again, except he was now actually covered with cold sweat. High-level saints were terrifyingly strong. Like Gu Zhu, Wu Ming had become famous a long time before. Wu Ming's power is disintegration. He can create another space using empty space strength and make half of someone's body appear in that space, while leaving the other part in the current world. That way he rips people apart and kills them. What a terrifying power, thought Lin Feng. Wu Ming could kill low-level saints in a millisecond with the power of his mind. Saints were already powerful cultivators, but still there were huge differences between them too. How noisy! After my fellow disciple is done making the sword, it seems like there will be battles, said Weapon Master Kong with a smile. 2 high-level saints from 2 shrines wanted to kill Lin Feng, and some people who were on Lin Feng's side, such as Maradeva from the Fortune Shrine, were there. More people from shrines were going to arrive. It was definitely an incredible meeting. Many friends are here already, said Tianrua Jian indifferently. He smiled and said, Weapon Master Bing is going to make a sword. Even the supreme animal world wanted to see it. Great. Everybody gazed into the distance when he said that. They saw 2 people. They were wearing dragon robes with dragon patterns on them. The dragons on the patterns were actually spitting out smoke. Their chi was extraordinary and aggressive. People from the Dragon Clan? Whispered Weapon Master Kong. Tianrua Jian smiled. Dragon Clan, and if I'm not mistaken, Rock Clan. The crowd looked higher up in the sky. There was someone wearing a golden robe, his expression sharp. Everything about that rock was sharp. A king amongst rocks, a great oriental greenfinch rock. They want my fellow disciple to make a sword for them. But he never agreed, said Weapon Master Bing indifferently. Lin Feng was amazed. The great oriental greenfinch rock wanted a sword? Interesting. Weapon Master Bing is here, said Tianrua Jian at that moment, looking off into the distance. There was an white-haired old man there. His hair was messy. He looked like an ordinary old man who didn't take care of himself. It was difficult to imagine that he was Weapon Master Bing, the one who had made Cassiopeia's sword, a terrifying saint's weapon. Chapter 2366. Making a sword. Tianrua Jian, always called Weapon Master Bing Master. He respected him a lot. Lin Feng knew that that old man had lived for a very long time, since he had made Cassiopeia's sword. Most people who were here were juniors for Weapon Master Bing. Weapon Master Bing looked ordinary, but it was the kind of ordinary which left people speechless and captivated. He looked like nature itself. Nobody had any doubts about his strength. He was an expert at making weapons, but he was also an incredible fighter, even though he rarely spent time with cultivators. And even if he wasn't a strong fighter, he could crush almost any high-level saint with his weapons. Weapon Master Bing walked over and stopped in front of the crowd. He looked at them, and in particular at Weapon Master Kong. Fellow disciple, said Weapon Master Kong, nodding at Weapon Master Bing. Master, said Tianrua Jian respectfully. How's your teacher? Weapon Master Bing asked Tianrua Jian. He's fine. He couldn't come, so he told me to say hello, replied Tianrua Jian. Weapon Master Bing nodded. At a certain cultivation level, when you thought you'd reach the end, you have the impression you're starting all over again. Tianrua Jian was surprised and smiled. My teacher says cultivation never ends, and each day is a fresh new start. Right, he's a cultivation maniac, agreed Weapon Master Bing. He looked around at the crowd and said, in the last few years, a friend brought me some materials. I've been gathering other materials too. Now I finally have everything I need to make a sword. I'm happy that you all came to watch me make it. We are the ones who are happy. It is an incredible honor to be able to watch you make weapons, said someone. Everybody nodded, agreed. They all felt incredibly honored. It was a rare opportunity. If anything happens during the process, if I make any mistake or if I don't do well enough, I hope that everybody will help me, said Weapon Master Bing. The crowd frowned. If he made a mistake or didn't do well enough, his teacher was the best weapon maker in the world, and he was incredibly good at it too. How could he say such a thing? Maybe Weapon Master Bing wants to try and make a weapon he's never made before. He's worried and feels pressured, thought the crowd. Weapon Master Bing is worried. What kind of material could his friend have brought to him? And what kind of sword does he want to make? Maybe he wants to break his record. The crowd was impatient to see what kind of weapon Weapon Master Bing would make. Everybody, please move back, I want to start, said Weapon Master Bing. Everybody stood up and withdrew to a safe distance. Weapon Master Bing was alone in the middle very quickly. Weapon Master Kong said, "His chi has become even more incredible. It's the first time I have seen him like that. He has probably been getting prepared for a very long time." Master, does he want to break his record? Asked Tian Ruojian. Weapon Master Kong nodded. Yes, and it's probably related to the materials he has. Weapon Master Bing took a step forwards, and a terrifying fire appeared, an incredible celestial Tao filling the air. It was very oppressive. A terrifying fireball appeared in the sky and descended rapidly. A crater which was several hundreds of meters wide appeared, celestial fires burning inside. The deep pit became dark, the fire became black smoke appeared. Incredible, he makes weapons alone. He's also a great deployment master, without a doubt, whispered Lin Feng. Weapon Master Bing had also cast a mighty deployment spell. He was getting ready. How strong! Father, that guy is terrifying, said Jitian. An incredible oppressive energy kept appearing in the sky. It was breathtaking. Of course, he's famous everywhere in the world, Lin Feng replied. Weapon Master Bing was standing before the fire celestial Tao, composing himself. He had to do everything perfectly to make a perfect weapon. His fire, the materials, and his deployment spell had to be perfect. Nobody was flighty and impetuous in the crowd, they all watched calmly. He prepared the fire for 3 days straight. After that, the atmosphere went completely dark. The crowd looked at the sky and were astonished to see it was on fire. Weapon Master Bing finally started moving. He took a step forwards and stretched out his hands. In the blink of an eye, terrifying corpses appeared above the deep pit of flames. Those are saints' bodies. The crowd was astonished, so many saints' bodies. The corpses were roaring in a thundering rage. They still contained will. Those corpses are Weapon Master Bing's materials. Who gave them to him? The crowd was shaking. Weapon Master Bing created many fire chains above the deep pit, catching the corpses. The bodies roared angrily. Some people's heads started aching. They had the impression they were carrying the whole world on their shoulders. Their heads felt heavy. In order to use those bodies to make a sword, he needs to oppress their wills. How difficult. No wonder he's very cautious, thought Weapon Master Kong. He hadn't thought of this. Weapon Master Bing took another step forward, and an object appeared in his hand. He threw it into the fire, and the fire went into a frenzy. Weapon Master Bing jumped into the fire, raising a hammer and pounding the object. Clanging sounds echoed in the air. How resistant! The crowd was shaking. He kept hammering the object unceasingly, and quickly for 49 days. The crowd finally started seeing the rudiments of a sword. It looked illusionary. A sword embryon. Lin Feng was calmly watching. Weapon Master Bing's way of making weapons was different from the Gold Fire Tower's way. He looked more relaxed, but his movements were all extremely precise. At that moment, he was using his fingers to carve marks on the sword. Notches appeared on the sword. "Go in!" shouted Weapon Master Bing, raising his hand. Instantly, the shackles brought the corpses above the sword's embryo, and the corpses fused together with it. The saints' bodies melted completely. He's even making their wills fuse together with the sword. Drops of will fell onto the sword's embryo. The embryo was trembling with every drop. Weapon Master Bing was standing there. His soul left his body and went into the sword's embryo. He used his soul to oppress the wills. His corporeal body was just standing there motionlessly. What an incredible guy! If someone attacked his body with surprise, it would be tragic for him. Weapon Master Bing was in a trance. After melting the bodies and putting them into the sword's embryo, the embryo disappeared in the fire. It shook more and more violently. Weapon Master Bing's soul reappeared. When his soul came out, an endless number of chains surrounded the sword and lifted it up into the air. Did the sword want to leave? "Where are you going?" shouted Weapon Master Bing coldly. Everything suddenly stopped, his body shook, and he grabbed the sword with his fingers. Blood splashed and penetrated into the sword. This time, he used his own blood to carve marks on the sword. At the same time, the chains were still constricting it. "Stop!" shouted Weapon Master Bing. He sealed something in the sword with his blood. Stars appeared in the space around. He made some hand seals with his hands, and they penetrated into the sword. The flames continued refining it. Weapon Master Bing raised his head and took a deep breath, then spat out celestial Dao strength towards the sword, penetrating into it. After a long time, the sword, which had calmed down a little, shook again. It was going insane. But at that moment, terrifying Kulpa lights descended from the sky. The crowd was trembling. How powerful was that celestial Kulpa strength going to be? Chapter 2367. Tian Rua Jian. An explosive pitch-black strength rolled out, and a dark red color appeared, hurting people's eyes. What a powerful Kulpa cloud. It contains an overwhelming strength, thought the crowd, watching the violent windstorm in the sky. They were all wary. If that tornado reached them, their souls could explode. Weapon Master Bing raised his head and looked at the sky, retreating quickly. A dark red Kulpa cloud appeared, seemingly ready to explode. It descended from the sky in a flash and struck the sword violently. The sword hummed. However, the cloud didn't stop moving. It released more destructive strength and continued attacking the sword. 9 times 9, Kulpa, which consumes yang energy, intoned Weapon Master Kong. The terrifying dark red Kulpa strength turned into 81 parts. Terrifying deep pits appeared, bright meter-long tips appearing at the top of it. They absorbed and spat out dazzling lights, which contained an intense will. "Medium-level weapon, what is he doing?" whispered Weapon Master Kong, looking astonished. Weapon Master Bing called out to the crowd. "The sword contains all those saints' wills. I can't handle it alone. Everybody help me. Put your strength inside. Let's see if we can control the will." Weapon Master Bing immediately started helping. The crowd was startled, but started released a terrifying chi. Celestial Dao rolled out and roared. Now that they had released energies onto that sword, they could sense its movements even better. Lin Feng released God's strength and forced it into the sword. However, when his God strength penetrated into the sword, it seemed tiny. The will wouldn't submit to his God strength. No wonder Weapon Master Bing couldn't control it. That sword was supposed to be terrifyingly strong. Weapon Master Bing wanted to make the best sword possible. The Supreme Yupek was made to attack souls. The Kasayapa was supposed to attack using speed strength, making people lose awareness of space and time. Now he wanted to make a sword which contained all those saints' will. So he tried to make a pure weapon, and not a sword which contained all sorts of strength in a chaotic manner. He wanted to use the will of all those saints in the best way. Lin Feng's God strength was made of millions of sorts of intent. It was good, but the problem was that it was too weak. If Weapon Master Bing used it, he still wouldn't be able to control the sword. At that moment, Weapon Master Bing sensed something. His strength was also in the sword, and he was paying attention to all the strengths penetrating into the sword. He noticed that a few terrifying kinds of intent could suppress the intents of others, or even destroy them. But Weapon Master Bing didn't want to see that. He also found out there was a relatively weak intent inside which had been created using myriad sorts of intent, but it was just too weak. Weapon Master Bing put his own strength around that power, and looked for the owner. Lin Feng frowned. Someone was chasing him. He recalled his God strength, and sensed a strength surround and constrict him. "Who?" said Lin Feng coldly. He turned around and noticed that Weapon Master Bing was looking at him. He was surprised. The one who was chasing him was Weapon Master Bing? Weapon Master Bing nodded at Lin Feng and recalled his strength, putting it back in the sword. He wanted to find someone strong enough. After a short time, he looked disappointed as nobody was left. Those people could only oppress the strength, but that's not what he wanted. He didn't want to oppress it, he wanted to modify it. He wanted to use that strength and turn it into a terrifying and explosive strength. Unfortunately, these people didn't understand much about that. Only Weapon Master Kong could understand Weapon Master Bing. After all, they were both incredible weapon manufacturers. That's why it's only a medium-level item. He hasn't made the sword take shape, thought Weapon Master Kong. Weapon Master Bing said, "Alright everybody, recall your strength." The people recalled their power. The sword started trembling again. He couldn't control it anymore. The crowd looked at Weapon Master Bing, not knowing what he was thinking. Weapon Master Bing released a terrifying strength, which surrounded the sword, and constricted it before dragging it towards himself. "Little boy, come here," Weapon Master Bing said to Lin Feng. Lin Feng was stunned. Weapon Master Kong looked at Lin Feng and smiled. "Lin Feng, he thinks highly of you. It's a very good sign. It's fate." "Lin Feng, not bad, Master Bing chose you," said Tian Ruojian, smiling and slapping Lin Feng's shoulder. Indeed, everyone here was much older than Lin Feng. When they became famous, Lin Feng wasn't even born yet. Gu Zhu smiled, his eyes twinkling. It was a sign of destiny. Weapon Master Bing had chosen Lin Feng. "Hurry up and go," said Gu Zhu, smiling at Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded and flashed forwards. At that moment, Wu Ming's figure flickered and he moved towards Lin Feng, shouting, "Weapon Master Bing. Lin Feng is someone my shrine wants to kill, leave him." Weapon Master Bing glanced at Wu Ming. He didn't look angry, but said in a cold way, "So what? It has nothing to do with me. Little boy, come here." "All right," said Lin Feng, and he continued moving forwards. Wu Ming said, "Since you insist, don't blame me for attacking." He continued moving towards Lin Feng, who sensed a terrifying celestial Dao surround him. Weapon Master Bing frowned. A deadly sword strength suddenly filled the air. Tian Ruojian was holding a thrumming sword. Insolent, Tian Ruojian's figure flickered, and he appeared directly in front of Lin Feng. An invisible and intangible sword moved forwards. Space started breaking apart, including the empty space strength moving towards Lin Feng. "Lin Feng must die," shouted Wu Ming, charging forwards. Empty space strength surrounded Lin Feng. "Destroy," said Wu Ming. Lin Feng had the impression his body was going to be ripped apart. Swords glittered and penetrated into his body. However, they didn't injure him. They just broke the empty space strength around him. At the same time, Tian Ruojian threw himself at Wu Ming. He hadn't even unsheathed a real sword yet. "You want to die?" Sword intent filled the air, and sword lights appeared. Tian Ruojian finally unsheathed his sword. At that moment, it was like space and time had stopped. Only a dazzling sword cut towards Wu Ming. Wu Ming released empty space strength, but he was much slower than before. He was moving in slow motion suddenly. He had the impression time had stopped. Seconds lasted forever. Time strength. Lin Feng frowned. He had seen such a sword on the battlefield of Qitian Holy Town during the War of the Ancient Days. "Piss off," shouted Wu Ming furiously. He released even more empty space strength, clear and musical breaking, and snapping notes went off. But Tian Ruojian's sword continued slicing towards his third eye. Wu Ming bit his lips and blood dripped down. A terrifying empty space cage surrounded him, but the sword appeared in front of him, piercing through the empty space strength, like it had been about to teleport. But the teleportation was slowed down too. The sword finally moved forwards and drove into his chest. At that moment, Wu Ming also moved and disappeared into another empty space. However, he looked down and saw wounds on his body, and blood dripping down. Tian Ruojian is so strong. The crowd was astonished. That sword was incredible. He had nearly killed Wu Ming. "You dare act disrespectfully in front of our master," Tian Ruojian said to Wu Ming coldly. Wu Ming pulled a long face. Tian Ruojian was so strong, but he continued calling Weapon Master Bing master. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.